What's going on, Fortnite fam? I'm Resub and I'm here joined by three of EU's top pros. We've got Juriki, we've got Podesai, and we also have Savid. We're going to be trying to figure out what is the ultimate POI. So the first POI that we've got lined up for you guys is Command Cavern versus the Grotto.
I'm definitely going towards Command Cavern.
100% Command Cavern.
I will say Grotto, yeah.
You have the blimp with like 3 other henchman chests that are pretty much guaranteed purple weapons.
There is a vault, the mythic gun.
Wait, yeah, there's a vault in the old one too.
2-1, so Command Cavern, we're going to say, takes the slide on this one. It's close. Everyone loves the Grotto at the same time. Let's move on to the next round. Slurpy Swamp against Lazy Lake.
I'm gonna go with Lazy Lake.
Yeah, I'll go with lazy. I'll go with lazy.
Yeah, I go lazy too.
If you get at least one team there, you most likely end up coming out with no spare shield.
Mid map.
Unanimous decision. That's what I like to see. Lazy Lake takes it. Next round, we've got Tilted Towers versus the Agency.
I always remember Agency being very good.
I think the agency just takes it.
Agency, I think.
The drum gun, 50 damage to the head, 25 to the body.
This had drum gun, right? And it had the vault.
So the Agency's going to take it in the third round. Let's move on to the fourth round. Sweaty Sands versus Chonkers Speedway.
Chonkers.
Chonker Speedway.
I think Chonkers too.
It's kind of a close one, right?
You get full cap match from Chonkers.
So many splash, I think is better.
Chonkers Speedway is going to come out on top in the fourth round. So that's going to take us over to the semi-finals. First one, probably the most difficult choice we'll have, I'm guessing, will be Command Cavern against the Agency.
I don't think it's difficult. I think it's Command Cavern.
I think, yeah, Command Cavern is...
I think it's Command Cavern easily.
I guess the only good part about Agency is the drum gun and the vault, but it's nothing compared to Command Cavern.
I don't think I disagree with you on that. So the next one, we've got Lazy Lake going up against Chonkers Speedway then.
Chonkers takes this one.
I think Chonkers.
No, I take lazy.
Yeah, I just feel like it's easier to fight at though.
Just because the splashes.
Everyone's still sticking on Chonkers. Let's move on to our finals. Command Cavern going up against Chonkers Speedway.
Command Cavern.
Command Cavern, yeah.
Command Cavern just has it all.
With gold pump and the vault.
Command Cavern's got a lot of freezers. It's got the blimp which you can fly from.
The ultimate POI is, of course, Command Cavern. Thank you, obviously, to Juriki, Podesai, and Savid for joining us here. You're back at home watching now. What's your ultimate POI? See you on the Battle Bus.
The legendary loadout for slot 1, the sword rifle, the golden one.
Best weapon in the game.
Has a very high damage.
36 damage to the body, and you just need 6 shots to eliminate.
I would love to have the golden hammer assault rifle, because I feel like it's the best AR for close range and also for mid range and far range.
For slot 2, I like the pump shotgun from the Stark season, the gold one, of course.
I think it's best shotgun in the game.
Best shotgun that Fortnite ever had.
It does 220 damage into the head.
Striker pump, since I think it's the best pump that has ever been in the game and the most balanced especially. My third slot, I would love to have shockwave grenades, since you can just get on high ground easy with that.
Perfect item because you just easy can escape from somebody.
Because it can break builds and you can easily rotate everywhere.
In my opinion, it's best movement in the game. In slot 4, I would have 6 splashes.
Chuck splashes, because it's the fastest way to heal.
It's obviously the best healing item in the game. You can heal your team members and yourself.
But fourth slot is the smaller shield potion, because you can carry a lot of them and it's like only 2 seconds to pop it.
In slot 5, I would have 6 mini shields.
Mini shields, because I just think it's the second best healing after Chuck Splash it, and you especially need it in grand finals and in very stacked games.
And for the fifth slot, I would choose floppers, because you can do some very good plays with floppers in late game.
On the fifth slot, I like the Chuck because you can get from 1 HP to 200 HP in like 15 seconds. A lot of people say 15 seconds is a long time, but if you alone, no one's near to you, you can pop it easy.
As of right now, I'm an IGL and I've IGL'd 2 seasons. The role of an IGL is just to lead your duo or your trio through the game and just do good calls. Where's the best spot for search? Where's the best spot to position up? And just to know everything about the game. I think you should always try to get an IGL because there's barely any good IGLs in the world or in Europe, but there's so many fraggers. So if you're a good IGL, you will be picked by one of the best fraggers in the world, and it will do you much easier.
You need to watch your games, you need to analyze them, and also you need to watch pro players to understand how to IGL, and like the best way is to analyze your mistakes.
It doesn't really matter what loadout an IGL is carrying. He should just carry an AR and a pump, and just make sure that he's always there for his teammates and can always drop them shields as well, obviously.
So in my team, I'm most likely the fragger, and the task of the fragger is like to go for eliminations and bring the items from the eliminations to the IGL, and the IGL can go on the game.
The role of the fragger is basically to always get frags in an end game and make sure to get enough refreshes to drop to the tapper.
So what makes the fragger good is like, don't be scared, you need to be confident.
Like for example, Vino, he is very good fragger, he have very good mechanics. Like he can easily box someone and eliminate.
For the best loadout for the fragger is like 2 weapons and 3 healings. It's like, it depends if what you rather play. Is it assault rifle or SMG? So if you play SMG, play SMG. If you want to play assault rifle, play assault rifle.
What's up everyone, my name's Levin2K and I'm here in the lobby with the one and only Vidil. Vidil, it is a pleasure to have you with me. I'm gonna get straight into it. So you always had a knack for the game, right? Because obviously you're known as one of the most cracked players, right? Your mechanics are off the charts. Was it always sort of like that? Did you always just have the edge, or did you have to work really hard to get to where you are now?
The work, like you need to put everything in it, into the game, like 200%.
You obviously got the chance to play with No Riley and Reason for quite a long time, and many people consider you one of the most entertaining trios we've ever seen. What about that trio do you think made it work so well?
Yeah, like we had the most fun together. That was like a big point, and we played every day together, and like from after school into the night, every day.
This season you've been playing with Janice. Are you excited about your chances in FNCS with Janice? What do you think makes you guys a good duo?
Like the first time I played with Janice, like every time I have an opportunity to get a refresh or something, like Janice follows me up and it's like perfect measure. We fit each other. So I think we have a good chance to win FNCS there if we get Uncon.
Well, that's a great point, right? If you get Uncon, where are you landing? Who is it that you come up against on a regular basis? I think many people watching have a good idea, but talk us through it.
We land Greasy for the whole year, and we get like contested by 2 pro duos, I think. It's like Stormy Right and Default, and Nebs and Rain.
And are things looking good for your spawn? Are you confident about your chances of spawn against those guys?
Yeah, we get like the training from Canada, he's helping us, and then we win our spawn, yeah.
Are there any duos who you look at and you sort of go, I don't want to mess with that duo, right? Who do you think is your biggest competition this season?
I would say like Tyson and Chapix, 100%. Like I played a cup with Chapix together and he's like so good somehow. Together with Tyson's the best player.
Vidil, what is the #1 thing you still want to achieve in your career? Of course, you're not wrapping up anytime soon, hopefully, but is there anything else that you still really think I need to do this in Fortnite?
World Cup win and FNCS.
And hopefully this season is the season.
We hope, yeah.
Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the lobby with me, Vidil. Thank you very much for joining. Can you let the people know where they can find you online?
Varial on Twitch, YouTube. On Twitter, it's VarialFN.
Be sure to go check him out, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been Levin2K and Vidil in the lobby. See you guys all soon.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? It is great to see all of you, and welcome to the Fortnite Champion Series. Here we are. We've made it semi-finals. 3 days of Fortnite action. Some duos will qualify via Victory Royales. Others will look to hit top 6. Who will make it to the finals? That's what we're here to find out. This is the FNCS Semifinals.
Welcome to the EU FNCS Semifinals. Super Swedes Rabba Kebab and Waxbob Kebab were on the offensive side last week. They dominated Game 1 with 11 elims and ended Qualifier 3 with 23 elims total. The only duo outside of top 5 with that many elims. Will their aggression help them get a VR today? Janice and Vadil went for the grapple gloves play in the hope that it would propel them to a victory, but they fell short when it came to mid-game. Will they change up their strategy for semifinals, or will the gloves help them secure the W? H and Mr. Savage had a strong start, finishing top 20 in the first 2 games, but their synergy continues to be challenged. With only 3 days left, can they come together and clutch a win? Find out now in the EU FNCS Semifinals Day 1.
Oh, baby, there is so much we have to talk about before we can jump on that battle bus. Duos to break down, head-to-heads, maybe even a little bit of recaps. We'll get there, but first, let me introduce, it's your analyst, it's the best taco, it's Reese Hub.
Big bang. Oh, I messed up. Oh, well.
I was ready for the explosion.
Yeah, I was ready
it's
too.
It's the big bang.
We start strong here at the FNCS. Friends, we just got done with qualifiers. Those are kind of their own crazy animal, but semifinals, completely different.
Yeah, it's going to be intense, right? Every single one of the matches, all 5 today, the Victory Royale will qualify straight for the final. So it doesn't matter if it's game 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, everyone's got a chance.
Yeah, the stakes are at an all-time high. Everybody wants to find their way into the finals themselves, so I'm ready to see the action.
You know, EU is about to bring it all. But first, let's talk about the broadcast schedule. Right now, semifinals, 3 days of Fortnite semifinal action. But mark that calendar, August 13th and 14th, comeback. Finals, 2 days, Acts of Champions, prize money, the whole shebang. We'll worry about that in the future. First, allow me to introduce our in-game team. That's right, it's Mini Miner. It's Tokata. It's Levin2K. Look at those beautiful boys. Of course, Mini Miner is going to be our in-game analyst. Our casters, Tokata and Levin2K. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, Zeke, what are they doing here so early? Well, guess what? We're going to be breaking down qualifiers 1 through 3, just in case some new fans are out there. They're like, what happened? How did we get here? We'll get that covered for you. So, friends, scatter. It's about that time. Here we go. As we kind of talk about, we'll be talking about drop spots. We'll be talking about the top 5 that already made it through qualifier number 1. And a few good stats. So, Mini Miner, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke. Now, the qualifiers were absolutely incredible. If you missed them, then don't worry. We're here to recap them for you. Qualifier number 1. These are our top 5 teams that did end up making it through. Guys, talk about some names right here.
I mean, the first duo that sticks out for me here is going to be Tayson and Chapix. They had absolutely consistent performances that happened to be rather dominating throughout that first qualifiers. Rather placing in the top 5 throughout every single one of those rounds is what really helped secure them that first place position.
Yeah, and I actually want to bring up Merstash and Malibuga and the insane comeback that they did from being 30th place or getting 30th game 1, 49th game 2, 26th game 3, halfway through the tournament. They were on the bottom half of the leaderboard, and then they get back-to-back Victory Royales as second place, bump up into the qualifying range. I mean, that's a story.
Yeah, 2 Victory Royales for this team. And now let's take a look at where those Victory Royales came from. Of course, we had 2 from Malibuka and Mustache, but these are the other teams that managed to pick up victories here. Guys, talk to me about this map. I mean, no victories from Rave Cave.
No victories from Rave Cave, but there was definitely a lot of heavy prioritization for those grapple glove positions. I mean, Pink and Anas, Tayson and Chapix, they were constantly looking for a lot of that high ground mobility because these are just teams that love getting ahead of the circles in advance, getting their tags in early, and just putting themselves in a good position.
And although they were making use of the grapple gloves, there was also duos that were making use of the natural mobility, High Chris Vortex and the Reality Falls. We had Merstash Malibuka, center of the map. I mean, there's so much environmental mobility you can use, and these duos really capitalized on that.
Yeah, there really is. And there's so many stats that we have to break down as well from qualifier number 1. Of course, you can see Victor L, 2 victories for Merstash and Malibuka, but talk to me about this, guys. Vino with 20 eliminations. That's huge.
Vino might have had 20 eliminations, but that's just kind of Vino and Queasy effect, I think. That's just such a potent duo any time of the week, but I can't help but notice Merstash with that most damage dealt. I mean, Vino might have had the elim secures, but that was all Merstash when it came to the damage dealing.
And what's most impressive about that is that Merstash and Malibuka, I mean, a majority of that damage came in the second half of the tournament. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it really is. Now, that was qualifier number 1. Qualifier number 1 was crazy, but I want to know more about qualifier number 2. Zeke, take it away.
Thank you so much, friend. Let's go ahead and talk about qualifier number 2. So, first off, we'll start with none other than your top 5. Now, remember, these duos right here, they're already waiting for us in finals. Who are you guys super happy to see on this list? You're like, yes, they're there. They're ready to go.
I think we share one here, right?
Yeah.
Seti, Cammy, we expected them to just call through in qualifier 1 quickly. They're one of those kind of teams, but they finally did it in qual 2.
I mean, when you look at the list of players you got here, though, it's like, you know, you said this could easily be qualifier number 1s, but if you look at the qualifier 1s list that we just broke down, of course, over there, I mean, there's only so many teams that can get through in the top 5. Only 5, so of course some of them are going to come over to that second one.
That's right. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Victory Royales. Where did they come from in qualifier number 2? And who achieved those? Now, some of these duos have already gone through, so some of these POIs are kind of open for business right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there were too many surprises. A lot of the POIs we're seeing teams win from here are considered some of the strongest POIs in the game. Now, I think the big question mark will be Janice and Vidil. We've seen them win a game in the qualifiers. Today is the day they really have to be able to do that again.
And the game that they won was like a fully north zone. It's like max distance them, and they're able to do that. So there wasn't like that much RNG involved. Everything was against them, but they still managed to do it easily.
Some people are just built different. They
Like
just be
us,
that.
right
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, here it is. Let's take a look at the stats summary. So once again, we have just like a nice spread, and I'm not gonna lie, qualifier 2 was a banger.
Yeah, qualifier 2 really did not disappoint in terms of just the quality of the games, the quality of the teams you're seeing here, the names here, elite all-stars of the region. I think the big thing, Reese, to look out for is that the team that actually ended up winning the whole qualifier 2, you know, Snazy and Andelex, they're the ones with the most elims, the most builds placed.
Of course, they're the ones top of the leaderboard, top of the stats for everything else. And I think today, when we're looking at our semi-finals, whoever's at the top is, let's be real, most likely also going to have the most eliminations.
And that's just qualifier number 2. We have one more to throw your way. Minnie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke. Now, qualifier number 3 was also kind of nuts. We had some teams coming back, one of which was Kiro and Jardy in 4th place. They were outside of the top 10 going into the final game, as well as Pink and Nas, of course, popping off. Taco, what happened here?
Yeah, Pink and Nas, they broke away early, I think. From the first 3 rounds of qualifier 3, they definitely set off to a pretty aggressive pacing with their points lead. But as for everybody else, that was a rather scrappy final qualifiers, Minnie. I mean, for a while, it was hard to determine who was even going to be in that top 5.
Right, I mean, it was the last qualifier, but I want to bring up that duo in 3rd place, 4ZR and Kezix. 4ZR being a veteran of Fortnite competitive from competing in Chapter 2 Season 6 with Tayson, Nate in trios and getting 3rd place in the finals, now playing as a duo. I mean, I think they're going to do a great job.
Absolutely, I hope so. Well, I saw it, of course, it was incredible. But now let's break down the Victory Royales, of course. Where did these teams go? Where did the Victory Royales come from? As we can see, guys, this is a bit of a interesting distribution here. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, I mean, there was the double Victory Royale for starters from Pink and Anas, so it seems as though the Joneses and that prioritization of the grapple gloves definitely paid off for them. I mean, they went practically uncontested throughout that entire qualifier staccato for the high ground.
Yeah, and I also want to look at Rave Cave because 2 duos qualified from the Rave Cave. And I mean, that's a POI that has the slipstreams, has the environmental launch pad. So there's a lot of mobility there to be used. And I mean, you can just see how powerful it really is.
Yeah, it really was indeed. And now let's take a look at some more stats, of course, from this qualifier. We can see some crazy Victory Royales again from Pink and Anas, but a stat we didn't really talk about too much is Arthur with 1,824 builds placed.
Yeah, if there's one thing he was doing, it was definitely looking to support his duo throughout this entire qualifier process. And anytime you could see a player placing that many throughout the entire qualifier weekend, I mean, that just goes to show that he's got really great awareness of positioning.
And I also want to bring out the most eliminations here. Pink and Fredoxy were actually tied for 16 eliminations, so we had a little bit of a tie there for most elims.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for breaking it all down. Of course, the recap was amazing, but we got to get on with semifinals. Zeke, take it away.
Thank you so much. That's right. We got to focus back in, right? A lot of these duos are in the hot seat. There's so much we'll be breaking down. But really quickly, what's the format look like? Well, guess what? Taco and Reese, they can help us out.
I'm now here. So, of course, that was the qualifiers. We've recapped them. You know what's going on if you've not been there for last week. But let's focus on today. Let's focus on this weekend because we're looking at the semi-finals. So we have 5 matches total today. Every single victory royale. So every single one of them will qualify you through. So that's 5 players already who'll go straight to the finals. And then on top of the leaderboard, another 6. So if you've done the maths,
I've done the maths.
You've done the maths.
I've done the maths.
11 teams will go through today. And then the next 2 days, it's going to be exactly the same, but with 6 games, so 12 teams each time.
And the maths don't stop just for determining those 11 teams. If you want to be a part of those 11 teams, you have to get your points secured. Like we were just mentioning, Victory Royale, it looks a little bit odd with 1,000 points, but that's because winning any of these 5 games or any of the semis in general will put you automatically through to the final. So that's the big thing to look out for, is closing out with a Victory Royale. Granted, 2nd through 5th, still some nice points collection, and you can always boost your score a little bit further, Reese, with each elimination being 2 points apiece. But if you fall underneath 31st to 35th, 36 and under, that's no points whatsoever, and that could really impact your prizing. Right, Zeke?
It sure can. You got to make it to finals. If you can get there, this is a look at what's at stake. Now, this is just the prize breakdown for EU. We have 7 regions all competing for their own prize pool. But in EU specifically, $300,000 for that duo that can come in first place, and the Axe of Champions 2.0, August 13th and 14th. You don't want to miss that. Now, we know our players are incredible. At any moment, we could show them anywhere on the map, and they could tell us where that is. Or can they? This is where in the world.
I think I'll be good at this because I know the map pretty well.
I'm very confident to win because I know every single spot at the map.
Yeah, I think I know the map, so I think it will be easy.
I know very well the map.
This looks like, I think this is maybe a basement in Greasy.
It's left from Reality Falls.
Okay, 100% is Greasy Grow. I know this one.
I think it's maybe in the new POI with the mushroom. Oh, Greasy Groove!
Greasy Groove, what? Oh my god.
Yes, let's go.
Oh my, let's go.
Tilted Towers.
I know where it is. It's Tilted Towers.
I think it's Tilted Towers, if I'm not wrong.
I don't know fully. I'm just gonna say Tilted. I'm just too good.
I wasn't like sure 100%.
I was 100% sure, like Tilted got destroyed. It looks like Rave Cave.
I don't know. I'll go with Sanctuary, like somewhere on islands.
I'm just gonna say Condo.
Oh, it's easy, it's easy. Sanctuary, in the beach on the Sanctuary.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, let's go. What? How am I doing this?
No, I knew it was somewhere near the islands, man.
It's easy. It's Synapse Station.
It has to be Synapse Station.
Synapse Station. Synapse Station.
This is on the Synapse Station.
Oh my, I got it right again.
Okay, that was easy.
Yeah, I do it.
Maybe it's Logjam.
So it's like basically the new POI. So I'll go with the Reality Falls.
Logjam Lumber Yard, or what is called?
No, this is Logjam because of the Crackshot house.
What? No way. What?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I do it.
Yeah.
I thought I was like about to do 505, but unlucky for me, I guess.
Some picture was really hard, but another picture is really easy.
It was really hard, but I think I did good.
I think I'd be near the top 100%, maybe even first. with 4 out of 5 right.
As always, thanks so much to the players for hanging out with us, making fun little things, little games. The question is, Reese, how many did you get right?
All 5.
You really thought either of us would miss?
Shh, he wasn't there. He doesn't know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's talk about the qualified players. These are the duels we'll be watching compete today, but we can take a deeper dive. Let's start right here. Floki and Clement. I mean, we know this dynamic duo is incredible. Clement only missing out on a single FNCS finals?
Yes.
The history of Fortnite?
1 of 5 people, right? If you think at this moment you're going, I'm in semifinals, would you be nervous if you're him?
Yeah.
You would be? Well, he's not. I'm sure he's not. The last 2 seasons, he made it to semifinals. He didn't get through when it came to the qualifier, so this is like a comfortable position for him, I would say.
Yeah, but even with Floki and Clement being so familiar with the semifinals, it's the finals that matter here most recent. This duo has definitely kind of struggled to get those top 20 placements even throughout the qualifier, so what I'm really looking for is a little bit more consistency out of these two.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's just their mid-game. If you kind of get a bunch of eliminations in from that 4th and 5th zone, they could be fine, and that's what they've done in their better games.
That's right. They need to pick it up, right? 2 days. They have the wiggle room. We'll have to see how that goes. Let's talk about another duo, though. Frey and Flixie, the Loot Boys? Loot Gang?
Loot Guys.
Loot Guys.
Yeah. We want to see if we can make them into Loot Men by making it through the finals, though. Frey himself, I was speaking to him earlier, has played 50. That's a lot. 5-0 games of semifinals or reboot round style games and not made it through and by winning any of them yet. So the pressure's on right now, right? But they've been performing so good this season, a 6th in qualifier number 2, that with a game win, I'll add in that as well. So I think they're so set up. If they didn't make it through this weekend, I would be so shocked.
Listen, Frey, Flixie, they're trying to loot all of our hearts here because after that qualifiers too, the fact that they came so close in that 6th place position, I think that they kind of shocked a lot of people, really showcased that they're really just building their synergy as a duo. They're really just an up-and-coming, I think, duo to keep an eye out for here today.
That's right. There's another one, though. A crowd favorite, H and Mr. Savage. One of the probably most favorite duels of all time. They're landing Tilted Towers, and I want to see them get a win. I want to see them in finals.
I want to see them get a win too, and they managed to get a win in the qualifier that one of them they played. But the thing is, like, this was a classic take height in like the 5th zone before zones start moving. I'm not sure in the semifinals you'll be able to get away with that, because the one thing we've known from season after season after season is that in semifinals, when all that matters is the win to some of these players, height is a mess because everyone's just trying to take it.
Height might be a mess, but H and Mr. Savage, they're such consistent fraggers here, Reese. All I really want to see them do today is finally bring it together because they keep playing so individualistically throughout the qualifiers. So I'm hoping that here today in semis, we'll see something a little bit different because if they get their synergy right, they'll be looking right for semis.
Me and you hope this. Me and Zeke hope this. We're all here together.
They just need to do it one time. That's all we need. Yeah, again. Let's talk about our last duo that we'll be taking a look at, and that is, of course, Badil and Janice, the Big Z themselves. I mean, what more could we say about this incredible duo?
I mean, I think when you look through the placements and you look at the names, the caliber of the talent that we have throughout this duo, you've just got to expect, you like almost not even worry about them and be like, they're just going to qualify.
Yeah, this much star power together, this time around too, maybe a little bit less contested in that early game, could bode well for them throughout semis.
I am slightly concerned because I messaged Vadil and he was like, I'm not even warming up today. I was like, okay. Thank you. Glad I put you guys down as my prediction.
Hey, no spoilers, no spoilers. We'll get there in just a little bit. Thank you guys for helping me break down all the duos. I'll tell you what, though. Have you guys ever wondered what the buzz on the battle bus is? Well, check this out. This is the battle buzz. What's up, everybody? I'm Mini Miner, and I'm joined alongside Vino and Nako. We're going to be playing a game that we like to call Battle Buzz. I'm going to be asking both of these guys a question about Fortnite and the FNCS, and whoever thinks they know the answer first will be buzzing in and trying to get the answer right. Vino, how are you feeling going into this?
I'm excited. I think I'm going to get first place, I'll say that.
First place. Whew, Nako, that's fighting words from Vino there. What is the max damage that you can hit with a gold striker pump shotgun?
185.
Okay, Vino, boom, straight in. 185.
Oh,
that is correct.
Do I have to wait if I buzz in?
Yeah, you have to buzz in.
Yeah, I buzzed in
but
first.
I did.
Yeah, Vino did it first. Vino's in there first. I like it. No, he's right. Okay, 1 point to Vino. Good stuff. Question 2. What health does a metal wall initially build with? Who buzzed in first? It was Nako buzzed in first.
I did, no?
No.
No, Nako.
I did. 150.
That is not correct, unfortunately. We're going to pass it over to Vino.
45.
You're both wrong, unfortunately. You don't get a point. It's actually 110 HP. It's quite a lot.
We wouldn't have guessed it, I think.
Question 3. Which EU player holds the most FNCS titles? Okay, so Vino buzzed in first. Tayson is, of course, correct. Did you know that, Nako?
Yeah.
You knew it. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Everyone knows it. Question 4. The unvaulting event in Chapter 2 allowed players to choose one vaulted item or weapon to return to the game. What was it?
I think I know it.
Okay, Nako's buzzed in. Do you know the answer, Nako? What is it?
I'd say it was the drum gun.
The drum gun is correct, yes. Well done. Okay, that was very good. Question 5. What was the name of the first ever prized Fortnite tournament? Okay, Vino.
Solo Showdown.
Solo Showdown is incorrect. It's close. Nako.
Yes, to be the Summer Skirmish.
Summer Skirmish is correct, yes. Question 6. In the most recent EU FNCS finals, which player had the most eliminations? Vino, you buzzed in first.
Me.
Who was it? It was you. It was. Okay, the final question. Vino and Aqua had 3 VRs in their FNCS finals run this season. Who was the last FNCS finals team to also do this on EU? You buzzed in very quickly there, actually.
I was confident, but I'm not too sure anymore. I think it's Hen Janice Chapix.
Hen Janice Chapix is incorrect.
Hen and Queasy.
Hen, Tayson, and Chapix in the FNCS Grand Royale at the end of Season 8. The winner of first Battle Buzz of the season it's Vino.
I did say I'd win. There's no prediction.
Yeah, you knew. Are you happy you won?
I'm ecstatic. Because I've been trying to get better at these games. I've been revising, getting ready.
Yeah, I didn't study for today's test, to be honest, so I'll take a second place.
Thank you there to Vino and Nako for taking part in the Battle Buzz today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, of course, and good luck to you both for this upcoming FNCS.
As always, thanks to the players for hanging out. Mini Miner, stop trying to take my job. You're too good at everything. Okay, let's talk about some of our predictions as we prepare for the first day of semi-finals. Mini, I do want to start with you. Flow Nada and Hell Nada.
Yes, this is the correct prediction for anyone wondering at home. Flow Nada and Hell Nada, they're landing at uncontested Coney Crossroads today. And might I add, in last season's semi-finals, the very, very first game, it was won by a team that was landing at Coney Crossroads. It's Snazy and Podesai for those wondering. And today, I'm sure history will repeat itself.
I like your confidence going into this mini, but you know I have to go with Janice and Vidal. Greasy, uncontested, a duo that I think they can qualify either through getting a victory royale or through consistency. I mean, they can really do it all.
I mean, I spoke to them earlier, and they've already said we're aiming for consistency, but they also just said, you know what? Maybe we just win a game. And I was like, which game? So he says number 4. So we're going to watch out. Game number 4, Vidal and Janice win.
That's the one. Look, I like your picks, but personally, I think Nefreezy and Lusher are the team to watch out for. A height team, which is a very valuable thing to be in these kind of lobbies. A team that's shown us they can win in the FNCS round 4 stages already. So for me, they're the team to go for.
Listen, I'm doubling down on H and Mr. Savage. They found a victory royale already in qualifiers number 3. I'm expecting them to do it here again today in semis.
Wow. And I'm rounding us out. Noah, Rayleigh, and Reason. I mean, come on, competitive veterans. They just need a single win. That's it. I'm not asking for too much. Mini Miner, I want to hear kind of your in-game analysis mind. How are you feeling coming in? What are expectations? What should the viewers be watching out for?
Wins, victory royales, dubs. 3 ways of describing what's going to happen today, okay? We're going to see lots of those today. Only 5 games, so maybe the consistency teams that do start off badly might have a more difficult time, but it's all about the victories, and I love it.
I'm right there. We're locked in. We're locked in. It is that time, everybody. We are gearing up for the first game of semifinals day number 1. Find your seats on the bus. It's go time.
Game 1.
In the words of Mini Miner, it is about the victory royales. This is the semi-finals, day 1 that is. My name's Levin2K, alongside me to cut up, ready to break down all the action.
It's going to be an intense day. only 5 matches like Miniminer was bringing up. So there is one less chance in today compared to the next 2 semifinal days to get that qualification through the Victory Royale. But we still have those 6 spots with consistency 11, and I'm excited to see which duos are going to take that.
And I think that is the silver lining for a lot of teams. Obviously, each game, the Victory Royale winner will qualify to the final, but there will be teams that come so agonizingly close. But for them, the hope is not lost, right? If you continue to be consistent, be close, you still do have a shot via consistency. I'm super excited though, because it's always a toss-up, right? Who will be the teams to win? Who will be the teams that are just consistent? That is the ultimate question.
I mean, you never really know what's going to happen, right, Levelin? And getting into game number 1, we're going to see the early game engagements. We're going to see the drop spots, but stop me there. The battle bus is ready. The engine is started. Let's get into match 1.
We don't have to wait much longer. The time is now. And what a time it is already. We've had such great level of competition in the qualifying rounds, but this is now the semi-finals. The last stop, the last chance to solidify your spot in that grand final. And this is what all the players are playing for. And off spawn already, we're going to see some of the drop spots, some of the POIs that teams will look to land at. Kiduo and Yusri in this sign-up station area. Not a team in sight.
Oh, but in the center of the map, there's multiple teams in sight here. We've got Wox, we've got Rabob. Both players seeming to actually get contested, but you have to be careful. From afar, the third party comes in. They take that one, and now Rabob is left alone to play it as a solo, finds a big pot. But this is a very dangerous position to be in.
This is not where you want to be. Wox just caught asleep, started off the game, was not alert, was not sharp enough, gets taken out from afar. And so now Robab Kebab in a similar situation to what we saw in some of the qualifying rounds, if you tuned in then, where he will now, as a solo, have the team on his back.
That's not a position you want to be put in, but the good news is that it is only game 1, so they will have 5 more matches to play out. And I mean, hey, he can even get the reboot. He can continue playing. It's just going to be difficult. Looking to replay, though, in Shonkers. Nice shots getting connected from Destru here with that Ranger Assault Rifle, and not only that, the double.
We had the analysts talking about Floki and Clement, what they'd be able to do off spawn, whether or not they'd be able to actually finally do it. Of course, we've only ever seen once Floki and Clement actually miss that FNCS final, but Destru making their journey there that much harder, taking them down off spawn. Over at Shifty Shafts, though, it seems like we have a couple teams who are looking to contest each other here. Of course, the team that lands Shifty often has priority on the grapple gloves nearby, which makes it such a valuable POI.
It's all about making use of your environment. But you have to be careful, especially when you're contested. It can mess up your loot path. It can mess up what you've studied beforehand, the efficiency you might have practiced. But Sherry here, Kurochawa, looking to have the initial strike to this engagement. The first shot by playing their angles and playing the positioning right. And another player that's looking to do just the same. It's Ewan here alongside Buzz, looking to get a bit of real estate against his opponents here, trapping them in like a mouse in a cage here as he continues to lay down shots, looking for an angle, looking for that opportunity, a crack, a big hit to allow him and his duo partners to play that much more aggressive. But the opponents, they don't want to get risky. They don't want to get aggressive as one shot comes in, 26 shield. But it looks like this engagement could take longer than expected.
Yeah, look, Ewan seemed to have control of the fight, but you can see running out of materials, just having to temper his intentions. Pixie and Fork, though, aren't thriving in that regard either way, and so now a 50-50 gun battle will break loose. Pixie loses Fork, and so now as a solo, having to try and win the fight out. Buzz will look to get the Siphon, and that will put him at 200 HP. But can they close out the fight? Ewan struggling, needs to stay cool, and Buzz will close things out, picking up both of the eliminations. A really nicely executed fight.
Ewan and Buzz starting off strong, getting those early game engagements, setting themselves up for the future matches, kind of showing that the opponents have to fear them. They're going to be playing aggressive, and they're going to be playing with confidence now after that game number 1. But we can see Frey here alongside Flixie does have the grapple glove in his inventory, prepared for that late game. Just a reminder as well, the grapple glove isn't only used for mobility. You can also use it to basically harpoon up loot. So in the late game, if you see some loot in zone, it's too far to go grab it, you can just harpoon it up with those grapple gloves, Levin.
Such an important item, something that has been the key to many teams' game plans this season. It's been such a powerful item that there's been teams who have opted to leave their traditional drop spots in favor of moving closer and closer to those grapple gloves. And we see countless fights breaking out over them, all over the map. A team that has been involved in some of these fights this season, Janice and Vidil. Not necessarily going to be getting involved in these fights this time around. Of course, towards the south of their POI, No Riley and Reason will be landing and will probably have priority on those. But actually, with the likes of Nebs and Marine in the lobby, they're familiar face, but not actually going to be landing in that general area of the map anymore, opting towards going to Logjam Lotus instead.
I mean, it can always be risky, right? To switch a POI like that so far into a tournament. But Fortnite's about adapting. It's about improving. It's about being able to adapt quicker than your opponents. And Nebs and Marine, with the experience they have, I would not be surprised that they're able to qualify even with having that disadvantage from playing at a new drop spot that they might not be that much used to.
Vico and Jackson, a team that if you aren't too familiar with, you should be very much excited about them. The past couple seasons, this chapter as a whole, really, they really have started to make their mark, showing off their talent, and it would be a great thing for them to make it to an FNCS final. Again, just to really show people what they're about. And of course, landing in that Rave Cave area, they have the grapple gloves as well. Very good options, very good setup for them. Hellnada, Flownada, though, a team you're excited about, Takata. Tell me why you think they have what it takes to qual.
Look, Hellnada, Flownada, not only do they have those matching names, but they have the confidence and the synergy required to qualify. But as we switch over quickly to the Reality Falls here, Oliver and Splash have put themselves into a situation that it could get messy. As right now, looking for that angle, looking for that initial shot, has that striker pump shotgun. It does a lot of damage if you connect correctly. Great job of moving around while staying covered, placing the builds down when you need to. But you have to be careful here. The good news is on the minimap, we can see there's no duos close by, but they don't know that. As they quickly decide this engagement is going to take too long, we're done.
Yeah, going to dip out of that one. Splash and Older, not necessarily a fight they needed to take essentially, but getting a bit of damage off here and there is going to be the goal. You don't want to completely throw your game. But with all the teams all around the map fighting, all the action going on, sometimes it's a bit too hard for us to keep up with, and so we have the wonderful help of Mini Miner to break down some of the stuff we missed.
Thank you so much, Levin. Now, we had a few questions about how Vidil and Janice would navigate the off-spawn situation. Would they go for the grapple gloves and contest Noah Riley and Reason? It looks as though in game number one, they're playing it a little bit safe. They're not going for those grapple gloves. Maybe they'll fight them for them later on. We'll have to wait and see. But as you can see in their inventories, they don't have the grapple gloves. Let's see what impact that has.
Thank you, Minnie. And that's actually what Reese was talking about in the pre-show, right? That Janice and Vidil want to play for that consistency, for that top 6 on the leaderboard. So making a little bit of an aggressive approach to the early games, trying to contest the grapple gloves from another duo, might just be a little too risky.
Yeah, you want to try and mitigate risk in these lobbies, right? That is the ultimate goal. And for a team like themselves, who very much stand a good chance with or without the grapple gloves, there isn't necessarily that need there. So many specials there. Those always go a long way. Let's see what's happening here, though. Over at Sleepy Sounds. Okay.
Okay.
Not too bad. Shizo, Force being taken out, which is huge because they're another team that I think many people will be looking at and expecting them to push for a qualification, whether that be through consistency or winning a game.
That's what I love about these semifinals, Levin. Even if you're at the bottom of the leaderboard, you've got an eliminated off spawn all 4 games, and you go into that 5th game, you get high ground, you secure the victory royale, you are still going to the finals, you will still qualify. So you have to be ready. You have to always give it your all here. You cannot give up. As now looking at Astro and Michael, almost full materials, actually having a DMR in their loadout. I wonder why that could be.
For Michael and Astro, we've seen them in some of the qualifiers. They weren't quite able to sneak their way in, and so an attempt at qualification via this stage is going to be the goal. Similar things to be said for DKS and the Sipsos. A team that definitely has the quality to playing an FNCS final, but quality alone is not what grants you a spot. You have to deliver. And with the zone now ready to close, will they be able to make the right decisions to deliver, pulling towards the northwest, which isn't necessarily good for them. Of course, that Coney, they have a bunch of teams here that they can hold, and so they should start to be able to make their rotation on into the zone once the time comes, but it's all about getting that timing right.
Getting that timing, but a duo that is not going to have to worry too much about that. It's Sangel, it's Loki here, who have, I would say, basically the best position in this current zone. They're in the center of the zone with vision of all the opponents that are gonna have to rotate in. The only issue is they might not have an angle on the ones that are just on the edge of the zone. But I mean, with this amount of vision, I'm sure it's not gonna be difficult to find those tags.
Of course, this kind of vision, this kind of position is so strong. We see so many top Rave Cave teams look to perch up on top of it just like that. But of course, it's also about being able to hit the shots to go with it. And for Hydra and Belisi, we're gonna see them try and take that test. You don't want to over peak like that. Hydra almost going a bit too overboard. You want to look for shots, look for some damage, but you don't want to cost your game for it. But yeah, it's all about taking these sort of power positions, using the lines of sight to just get damage. Even if you aren't getting the eliminations, getting the damage goes a long way when trying to beat the Storm Surge.
For Stroky and Kylie here, though, they seem to have got themselves into an engagement, seeing that Kylie does have an elimination, but that's going to cause them to rotate in late. And you have to think, is it worth it to take those engagements? You do get a bit of damage, but you're going to use up a lot of resources and end up rotating late. And we have all those duos like we saw in the center of the map, built up, based up with vision. It's a little too risky as you rotate in late, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And Comeback and his duo partner here are looking to do just that as they go straight into Canox's box. They're securing that elimination quickly.
I really like that from Comeback and Blackshot. This is a duo that's very new, not very experienced at this level, but they've impressed so far this season. They've shown a real understanding and a knack for how to navigate mid-games, especially consistently being able to get to end games. And so they're definitely a team I'd watch out for qualing in terms of consistency. And it looks like they're trying to go all the way south, wrapped round to the dead side of the zone as well. So that elimination along the way was only a given, but definitely a team to keep your eye on.
So many duos that have had to overcome so much just to be in this position. As we look back at Flixie and Frey, remember, this is the duo that both have grapple gloves. But the issue is, coming from a corner of the map here, not having much opportunity to get tags, 54 below currently, even with such a powerful position. But you can even see at the bottom right in the mini-map, there was not too many duos close by. There's only two, and if they're boxed up, if they're not moving, it's going to be difficult. But for Frey, it doesn't seem like too much of a problem here, as he always gets one shot. But he's still below. This could get dangerous, and it could get dangerous quickly.
This is going to be a real test for Frey and Flixie. The analysts already set it up, but after playing so many of these styles of games over the past couple seasons, for them to not make it through would be a huge disappointment for them. The expectations are high, but can they match them? Can they reach them? For the teams in the zone right now trying to rotate in, it's not looking too phenomenal. Fury and Toos are above on Surge, which is always a positive, especially with some of the changes made recently. But it's also going to be about getting to zone with a better loadout. Not many shields left, literally none spare for Fury, and the materials are drastic.
I mean, they might make it to zone, but what cost, Levin? Like you said, out of shields there. As we switch over to Payne and Raisin here, 64 below, choosing to take the aggressive route of going for those eliminations, or even just going for a bit of damage up close. It's more risky, but it can be that much more beneficial if you connect your shots and get that opportunity. As Raisin now builds down, looks for that angle, but he is getting shot from the third parties around him. Has to be careful here, has to build all around as he pushes, doing a great job of covering all the opposing angles as he looks for his own. Gets a cone, looking for the other replacements here. 109 below. The stress keeps going up, the damage keeps ticking. Now no more shields to work with. He's forced to pop some minis, pop some chug splashes, group up with his duo partner. But as time goes on, it just gets more and more risky.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. For Krusty and Paco, they're barely above themselves, and so they won't run away from the engagement per se, but they definitely will want it to play into their own hands, and you saw they were ready for it. They need to be careful, though. Krusty's taking a bit too much damage than he can handle, but Paco is ready and waiting, and Paco will step up, picking up the eliminations. The duo are looking much, much better now. Nicely executed from Krusty and Paco.
Making use of the auto shotgun. I feel like we've seen already quite a few eliminations just from that weapon today, and it looks like we might see another one here. As here, alongside his duo partner, Destru. 9 below. Storm Surge for Frey, though. We just saw this duo. We saw what position they were in, Levin. They had the grapple gloves, but they were missing the damage, and even though They based up with a good amount of vision. They still go down.
They couldn't handle the heat. They had to get out of the kitchen. They were forced out of the kitchen, it seems. Destru, though. These guys have been on a roll so far this game. They take out Kiduo and U-Street. They are really the lobby bosses right now. First place just because they've amassed so many eliminations, more than anyone else, it seems. But a really nice start. It's all about momentum sometimes in these games, and they definitely got the momentum rolling in their favor. They can't be overzealous, though. They have to keep their cool as the zones keep on closing.
188 above for Janus and Vidil. 0 eliminations, so they've been doing damage from afar. Not sure how many resources they've used up. However, we'll switch back here. More to the edge of the zone, more the congested side. You can see so many duos close by. The good part of the congested zone here is you can get those tags, you can get that damage. There's so many options close by. But the issue is, if you get yourself in a sticky situation and get held back, you might end up rotating late or even having your teammate get knocked down. But Mr. Savage H now looking to be the aggressors as they take a shot. It's not enough to crack one. But now they have to continue.
The big thing for this team is they're well above on damage, and so in theory, sure, they don't need to fight. The problem is the materials are very much lacking. They can't go into the end game with these kind of materials. And, you know, if you look around the map, there's not many opportunities for any natural refarms. And so you can see running away, H, sorry, I should say, isn't able to keep up with Savage and falls as a result of it. The Siptos and DKS, though, side by side now. And they might even want more. After already picking up H, they might decide Mr. Savage is next on their list, but they also have to focus on the teams that were closing them down, holding them out of the zone.
Hungry for more. The Siptos and DKS recuperate that shield that they lost rotating in. And now as Storm Surge is active, you can see on the center, this is where it gets more and more dangerous for players like Mr. Savage as he goes down. Shots being made from afar. All these duos that have just made it in have to just do this much more damage as now Astro and Michael take down Flonada. His duo partner, though, doesn't want to let it end so quickly. Gets cracked. Astro now has to take care of Michael. He has lost his shield. They do get the finish. Both players are eliminated here as Nebs falls into the box. This could be another one. Already one elimination for Astro, but he's hungry for more. As Marine up above is maybe deciding that this engagement is a bit too risky.
Nebs and Marine were almost getting cooked right there. And Nebs actually will be cooked, burnt out, taken out. Marine up above, just had no real say. Couldn't really step in and help his teammate. For Astro and Michael, though, you can see that they're posturing themselves for the angles. They're looking to take the shots if they'll come to them. But 484 above is well ahead of many of the players left in the lobby. And they're looking good when it comes to materials as well. The big question is, can they get to the zone?
So much aggression. So much engagement, so much battles happening here. And we're not even in the late game yet. 4th zone, which will come to a close in just 1 minute. Some duos like the Siptos and DKS, plenty above Storm Surge, while we have duos on the contrary, battling it out just to be on the borderline. As now the Siptos DKS just want to focus on that rotate and conserving materials, but they have to be careful. With so many people hungry for damage, hungry for tags, those rotates are just going to be that much more difficult, than High-Crest and Vortex are experiencing exactly that. As now he continues, the shots keep coming in. He does have the armored wall to work with, places down 1, but now only 1 left in his inventory. So many auto shotguns here. Epic one for High-Crest as he looks back, finds an opponent in the zone, continues to apply that pressure, continues to look for more. As Nefrizzi, on the contrary, is one of the duos that's already based up in zone and has that advantageous position to continue on.
But they do not have enough damage on Storm Surge, so they'll be hunting, they'll be looking. And very much so the same thing that Vortex and High-Crest are looking to do. They have their eyes set on Janus and Vidil, but they elevated, moved out of position, and so their angle is lost. But they need to reposition. They can't afford to give up. The server quite literally will not give them a chance to do so. And now breaking in, trying to find builds, trying to take edits, claim space. And if they can find that space, the opportunities are there, the players are there to be fought. But with the zone ticking away at their HP, ticking away at their shields, they do become so low. The engagement now going back and forth, trading. Vortex goes down, Swag now trying everything he can to win against High-Crest. They're both so low. But it's all about whether Swag can hold on. High-Crest desperately trying to push his way in, and he will. High-Crest picks him up and will also be able to revive Vortex.
That almost looked like a comeback from me, Levin. High-Crest and Vortex were at the disadvantage. They did not have a lot of HP to work with, but connecting the shots made them get those eliminations as now Visu here alongside Fire Hunter, 50 below, just a couple shots away from being above the Storm Surge threshold. The issue is they have no more shields. They're going to be picking HP here, and all that is left is one little med mist that Visu is trying to use here. Fire Hunter knows the danger, looks to get straight into his opponent's box, gets knocked down. Although they did get above Storm Surge, one of the players has gone down, and now it's all about, do you pick up your teammate? The zone's closing, it's too risky. You have to begin your rotate. Sliding down the hill here, all the duos in front of them, boxed up. If they see Visu here, this is gonna get very dangerous for him.
Yeah, and to be fair, for Visu, he needs to be careful because building in wood will only bring more attention to yourself. That's unnecessary, and Packer won't even let him have the chance. But even with that being said, Packer also struggling to make their way into zone. All these teams just struggling to get their way in, but for the teams who are in, an opportunity to breathe, keep your cool, and set up for the late game.
Lucy Haijo, 2 eliminations on the board. You see a lot of these duos that don't have to worry about Surge are ones that were able to secure those eliminations. You can see on the feed all the chaos that's going on. Michael, Clown getting eliminations as Haijo now begins to try and get more on the side of where that first moving pulled to. It did pull west, so 6th zone is going to be going west. We can already see duos, Low-Key and his duo partner going for the high ground, building up early. Meanwhile, all these other duos are just trying to get ahead so they don't have as much of a rotate when that zone starts closing.
You can see now teams looking towards their rotations, planning things out. And for Michael and Astro, the big question will how they navigate. Obviously don't have the grapple gloves and gonna look to try run in as well. Once everybody starts gliding through the sky, that will be their perfect timing. From Orion though, he does have a glove, and so he now decides to opt to move in as quickly as possible, try and set up to find some sort of an elimination, because with no build, he has to hit a big shot.
80 below has one more use of his grapple glove, just one opportunity to get himself a bit into zone as he stays back and looks for an angle. But looking at where Orion is right now, there's not too many players close by. He's looking to see what he can find, playing his time right, getting as much placement points as he can secure. 18 duos up, 33 players. This could be an opportunity to take a shot. He has the striker pump. And meanwhile, on the high ground, Low-Key and his duo partner still are holding it.
Sandguild and Low-Key hold the prime position. Almost everybody in the lobby probably wishes they could be the ones here up on height, but it's a matter of whether or not they can hold on to it. For Mirando, he's just been tiptoeing his way around all these builds, trying to find opportunities. Farming up some extra brick there is going to be key. The extra builds will just go such a long way as he now farms his way on down, but needs to be careful that he doesn't break into somebody else's box.
The breaks come in. His duo partner here, Haram, looking to see what he can make happen. The rotate comes in, 210 above. Has to be careful. Connects one shot. It's only 40 though. You have to be careful. You're on the edge of zone here. Anything that you do is too risky as Marine goes down, and now Splash and his duo partner have that chance to look back into the zone to do a bit of damage. But they have to be careful. High ground has been broken down. Low-Key almost getting eliminated with the ball. The retake could come in here as Sandguild using that natural mobility to go above the high ground. It's anybody's game now.
They're all floating in the sky above, but down below, Older and Splash are picking up eliminations. One there, and now looking to add to their tally, but the battle for high ground continues. The players have now landed, but who will be the one to stake their claim? You can see Zaka and Haram, they're looking to do it, but can they connect to these shots, dancing around each other, flying past their enemies, and now looking down below, they realize maybe height isn't going to be the way, but for Hydro and Belusi, they were the ones to hold on.
Hydro and Belusi have taken this high ground, but they have to be careful. They don't have a lot of materials to work with here, as Zika, with 2 eliminations, 2 for his duo, are out of materials as well. All these duos are so low on resources, they need a refresh. Zika goes down, now leaving it up to Haram. He does have 4 eliminations. He's hungry for more, but he's out of resources. Just 7 more builds to work with. But Lucy and Haijo do have the high ground here, but you can see 1 build for Haijo. I'm not even sure how many Belusi has. As Janice now goes for the retake. The Victory Royale will auto-qualify you. This is so important for these players.
The most important build fight of Janice's life, and it seems like he's won things out. Him and Vidil now really hold the keys to the lobby. For F-God, he just has to wait. Only 3 builds means that an elimination right now for him is crucial.
Guard continues to try and stay up here. He has full HP, full shield, gets Haijo's knock, and now Michael playing it as a solo has to connect it. He does, but Lucy goes down. 3 eliminations from Michael. Now only 6 duos up, 8 players as High Chris and Vortex are still as a duo. All these players are getting eliminated left and right, but High Chris has the med mist. He can stay in zone, but he has to be careful.
Just not much in that med mist, and there's not much in the way of HPE, but Vortex now as a solo needs to do everything he can, but with so little builds, just has to use that of his teammates, try and use it as well. The med miss will be picked up, but again, there isn't much in it. For Badil and Janice though, this has been easy breezy, but with no materials left, they can't get complacent. They have to still connect to their shots, and that's what Badil's looking to do. But he gets taken out! Refscott hits a huge pump shot to take him down, and Michael now is the one that sits above height. How have Badil and Janice thrown this away? It's now a battle between Refscott and Michael in a 1v1 to qualify themselves to the final. Which one of them will step up for their team? The mid miss coming through for Michael now. Refscott now running into the zone, but realizing he does not have the facilities to heal off now. He just has to hit a big shot. He has to stay composed. He has to use his metal. And Michael dropping down, looking to try piece him up. The Mongol Classic. Will he connect to the shot though? Michael still searching, still looking. They swap places from height to low, low to high. Michael, no build, dropping down. Can he connect again? Just a stalemate. Both trying to hold on, but Refscott seems to be the one that's taking it. And can he connect to the final shot? He will. Refscott picks up Michael, and Refscott and Clown will go to the finals. I can't believe it. I can't even breathe, Takata.
Refscott, are you kidding me? The 1 versus 1 taking down Michael, as Janice and Badil were the only duo standing up, but both of them go down into one of the most intense 1 versus 1s we've seen to date.
Refscott and Clown will be absolutely elated. That shot from Refscott will go down in history. It was so vital to their chances there. Honestly, I can't, my lungs ain't recovering from this, Takar.
I don't even know what we just witnessed. The back and forths from that 1 versus 1 were incredible, but Refscott hit his shots when he needed to most, and now both Refscott and Clown will be going directly to the finals.
That is the kind of games we will be seeing all throughout the day. Those moments are what it's all about, and to break that all down, we have Zeke, Taco, and Reese.
My goodness, dude. We are literally here losing our minds in these final moments as Refscott takes the 1v1. And I mean, Refscott had nothing going into that. Literally nothing.
I mean, he had no teammate either. Pretty much from, I don't know how early on that was, but I think it was like first or second moving. That's when Clown ended up going down. No need to rhyme, of course. But I was watching early, and you know, you're counting out the teams. You're like, Vadil, Janice, they've won this. No problem at all. Until this moment right here, where, of course, Refscott just changes everything up, picks up. And now, the 1v1 at the end was crisp.
Yeah, Refscott kind of clowning on Vadil and Giannis at the end there, I think, with that clutch shot opening. But more importantly, Reese, I really can't stress this enough. The composure necessary to maintain as a solo player throughout that entire final segment. I mean, Refscott really could not have done a better performance here.
He's one of the most veteran players we have in Fortnite competitive. And this is why.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm telling you, I wish you guys could have seen us just losing our minds. We're going crazy. Let's go, Refscott. We'll see you guys in finals. Let's go ahead and talk about, though, you mentioned them, Janice and Vadil. I mean, I feel like, to your point, it was like once we saw their names as like one of those last few duos, we're like, oh, they win, right? Like, it's a no-brainer, but how did this go?
I mean, once you see that height retake, like, this is what we're probably going to see from a lot of the winning teams, right? We're seeing them taking height at, like, the second moving zone, because when you know these kind of reboot round style games, the semifinals, when a win matters, height retakes happen repeatedly. I'd love to see exactly what ended up happening to Janice, because, you know, we were sitting here going, it's won. It's over. This is the best duo. They're both left in it. But unfortunately, of course, like, we just saw that the pure takeover from Refscott instead.
Yeah, even if you have the materials to be able to take over that height position, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to close out on every single one of those shots. And while it's a bit unfortunate there for Vadil and Giannis, that's still a very strong, nearly second place finish here from this duo. I mean, the fact that they made it into the final 5 duos remaining says a lot.
Absolutely. And here we go. This is what the standings look like, of course. You know, we've got our winning team removed, right?
That's right. So if you guys are just, you know, joining in, tuning in, you're like, wait, what about that duo that just won? Well, if you get a victory royale, your duo's going right to finals, which means everyone moves up. So with that, Vadil and Janice, now they're sitting there in that #1 spot. At the end of 5 games today, we'll see the top 6 go right to finals as well. This is exactly where I want a lot of these duos to be. And I mean, just look at the list of names, players that you'd be like, wait, is this not, are we just not already in finals? Is that right?
Yeah, of course. Again, Vadil, Janice, the biggest names I think we've got in the entire lobby. And maybe outside H and Savage, of course, but that are in the top 10 right now. And when we're looking at that, you've got to look at that and think, okay, they're off to a hot start. You know, they said game 4 win. right now, well, game one's over. They're first on the leaderboard. Consistency is absolutely available for them in that qualification.
And it's crazy, too, given the fact that they had 70 limbs throughout that. So they were definitely one of the more proactive duos, I think, making sure to maintain their tags throughout each of these circles and moving into zone appropriately.
Absolutely.
And you know what? We saw a massive change here. You guys haven't seen, this week specifically, there's been a massive change to Storm Surge. This game has already been completely different than any other Fortnite game we've seen in the past. Having 10 less players going into those final few zones of the game has changed everything.
Yeah, of course, right? It's just a quick catch up for people. If you don't know what Storm Surge is, the players who do the least damage in the lobby essentially will get taken damage by Storm Surge when it's active. So if you notice on this far kind of left-hand side here, these are the zones. So when you see it switch from second to third zone, to fourth, to fifth, to sixth, to seventh, when those zones pop up in that kind of bottom right corner, this is when Storm Surge is going to be active. And it's only going to be active where now on this numbers are left alive. So if there's 64 players at the third zone, more than that, it's going to be active. And all those players who've done the least damage are just going to get hit repeatedly. So this is a massive change, of course, because now we have less players in the lobby, right? There's less players still alive, which means, guess what? More fighting.
And the more fighting was definitely evident in this first match alone, Reese. I mean, we saw players non-stop looking for tags. And not only that, but from zone 3 up until the 7th zone, we saw active Storm Surge cycles on all of these players. So the duos have really started to mask the pressure, but I also love to see the adjustments that they make for the competitive play throughout it, because when you have to fight more, you lose a lot more materials as well. So these players, they're working with a lot less as these zones get closer and closer. And once we start getting into those moving zones in particular, we saw how stressed all of these duos were when trying to scramble together some final moments in those materials.
Yeah, and I think what was really obvious was the fact that as soon as that third zone started active, it was just like fighting all the way through. It was just chaos, basically up until the end of the match. So rather than having two clusters of fighting, one at third zone, one at fifth zone, you just basically have smooth sailing, fighting all the way through, and we saw a lot of team struggles. Oh, it's very fun for us. But if you're a player, you got to get ahead of that early. You got to do your damage and even take some fights earlier on so that threshold's a little higher for you.
Fortnite, one of those games that it's all about adapting, right? And we're seeing some of these players, they're already there, right? They've made the adjustments necessary to go right to finals, while others are still kind of playing catch up. We have still 4 games to go. Don't forget FN Competitive, great place to keep up to date on all things Fortnite over on Twitter. As always, this is game number 2 of the FNCS.
Game 2.
4 games down. That first match being one of the most intense games I've ever seen in Fortnite competitive. Levin, I'm still shaking.
Look, it was the perfect way to start things off. An intense 1v1, and I promise you it probably will not be the last we see today. All these teams are looking to fight for the victory royale, but of course, there is still opportunity to crawl through consistency.
That's what I love about the semifinals. So much is on the line that when you're in these late games, you're fighting for the victory royale. It's just that much more impactful when you actually get it.
It makes it so that we have all these crazy hype takes, right? You'll have 7 teams, 8 teams, 9 to 10, every team looking to try to take high at some point. It feels like that way. And of course, with the Storm Surge changes as well, the non-stop action going on all around the map. And so that is exactly what we're ready to do. Who will be the ones to deal their damage off spawn?
The players now who got second place in the last match will be thinking to themselves, you know, oh, I was so close to qualifying, so close to making it to the finals, but that's not the only thing that gets you there. That top 6 inconsistency is what you're looking for as well. So if you got a nice placement in game 1, you just have to continue that momentum throughout the rest of the day.
And as we look here off spawn, the players are gliding into their POIs. We saw a couple things off spawn last time round. Will we see the same trends continue in this game? Last time, Pab and Swag were taking shots off spawn and actually picked up a quick little knock. This time round, it doesn't look like that will be the case. For Destru and 185, will they win off spawn again against Clement and Floki? A really nice start to the game with that purple striker pump shotgun. Can he put it to use?
Looking around, trying to see what their opponents are doing as they continue to go through their loot path. They have everything planned from their practice, from their studying, and it's all about having more loot than your opponents and doing more damage at the start of this engagement. Floki already getting some nice tags in, using those chug splashes to recuperate it all, and the issue is now their opponents, you don't really know what loot they have. So it could be a risky engagement to take, or you could have a huge advantage And if you're not keeping an eye on your opponents, you don't know what's the correct option.
For 185 in Destru, it's a bit of a switch up in the tempo. In game one, the fight was very quick, very fast. This time, a bit of a slower pace. Both teams maybe looking to get better loot before they engage in a fight and actually get some materials. You don't ever want to get into a fight with no materials. That is just not ideal one bit. But a team that's very used to fighting off spawn, Michael and Astro, they started off the day relatively well. Will that trend continue? Will they actually take themselves out of the game completely by getting a victory royale? That's always on the cards.
Hypo here and Grapple in the shifty shaft, forcing themselves into a battle here as Perchawa and Cherry walking around, looking to see what they can do to get that upper hand onto their opponents. As Aware here takes down Cherry, now giving him that position to insert his dominance here as he's looking to find more options, more opportunities. Gets the tag onto his opponent. I actually thought it was the knockdown, but it was another player as a whole. Just one shot away from getting the elimination, but unable to finish it off as now Jitsu and his duo partner in a dangerous situation, but they have to be careful as Typo looking to see if he can connect something, make something happen, going with his duo partner here. They do have one player knocked down, but they still need one to go.
Yeah, the fight is one that's just been so action-packed. The piece control there. Typo onto JJ2. Picks up a clean elimination. Add that one to the highlight reel. Fork, though, in another battle at Rocky Reels. We saw this in game one. Will the outcome change? It seems like it will. Buzz and Ewan will not win off spawn at Rocky. Pixie and Fork will take game two.
Pixie really turning his opponent into some pixels there. As we look at the replay here in Rocky Reels, is Fork eating up his opponents. Ewan there goes down, 73 on the other as well, but you can really see how confident they're feeling here. Currently in 26th place, so a ways to go to reach the threshold, but it's all about how you play the matches out.
Janice and Vidil, they came excruciatingly close to winning game one. And to be fair to them, I don't really doubt that they'll be able to qualify. Having a bit of banter with Resub before the show started, and I said, nah, man, your prediction's whack. They ain't gonna qual. But the truth is, these two are very, very dangerous players. Two players that very much would expect themselves to qualify. And after last game, clearly there's a foundation there to build off of. Tied for the most eliminations so far in this lobby as well, so showing off their firepower. But they need to stay true. They need to make sure that when they are on height in those moments, they don't fall to the wayside.
Hi, Chris here, and Vortex. Walking around the Reality Falls, the new POI does have a lot of things you can interact with. As we switch over, though, closer to the Mighty Monument on the east side of the map here, where First Zone has actually pulled towards. We have DKS Deciptos now, very highly elevated, looking for that damage as Mr. Savage and H here in the Tilted Towers, who are contested, by the way, in the early game, might force an engagement here. They do want that damage. They want to not have to worry later on in the match. Popping the shield keg, recuperating the shield, and now just getting started.
Yeah, you can see just how important it is to take these sort of fights with some of the new changes to Surge. You need to find a way to deal damage, and you're seeing already Polly very aware of his surroundings, the God awareness in that moment. Because this is what will happen. Teams are now more eagerly looking for third-party opportunities, and so it seems like it's something we stress all the time. Look, you don't want to fight to drag on too long, teams with third-party. Now more than ever, that is the case.
As the duo decides to disengage, they realize so many duos close by, it just might not be worth it. As Toos here is going up against Michael and Astro. They're building up. Only 16 builds for Michael here as he's playing sneaky, trying to hide in the shadows. But quickly enough, he can shine that bright light, pop up, look for the shot, but he does have to be careful from afar. There still are duos on the edge of the Daily Bugle here looking. They know that a fight is close to be broken out here, so they might just be able to pick up a little bit of tags.
This is so awkward. because if they drop down and fall and start fighting, there are just so many teams in positions to just ping shots at them from afar. But ultimately, they can't just sit here for the rest of the game. Will drop down now. He's making use of the cobwebs at the POI, but again, if you expose yourself for too long, there are just so many eyes looking in this general area. But now, as they take the fight into a building, an opportunity now to avoid the third parties, but that doesn't seem to be something that's helping them because Fury is on fire and he's trying to take out both of them. Toos has fallen, but he's picked up one already and he's looking to try and find the shots onto Michael. Will connect, but can he close things out? He needs to take that wall, needs to find the extra bit of peace, but already a brilliant start. He's actually now searching for the finish and realizes the third parties are coming in. Just having to rely on his sound and trust his instincts. But still, Astro crawling away, not making his life any easy and trying to find a body. But for Splashy and Zohan, they now need to pincer in on this, capitalize on two splintered teams.
With Astro knocked down and one player here running around, roaming as a solo, it gives them that edge and that position to take this engagement with confidence. And that's exactly what Zohan and Splashy do, eliminating their opponent there without too many difficulties.
And actually, this is so nice for Michael and Astro. What was looking like almost a fatal end turns into an opportunity, a second chance, be it. But they need to get out before Splashy and Zohan sniff them out. But the revive coming through is just so, so nice. They have the means to get them both back up to 200 HP. And so the game's not done.
The game's just getting started, Levin, just like these whole semis. I mean, we only have one game played. Currently in the second match out of 5. As we look back over at our third place team from last match, now in the first place on the standings though, you can see they know how much damage they need. We talked about it after game 1. The importance of the new Storm Surge piece coming in from Vidil, taking out the opponent instantly. Floki goes down, but now Vidil is low on HP here. It gets more and more dangerous as the zone does pull more north. But the good news is they have a lot of time to work with.
I love how eager Vidil is, just so confident. Taking walls, putting cones, sliding them into boxes, and hitting big shots. Of course, almost going down, but we won't talk about that bit. Let's just focus on the positives for this duo. As that is what they need to do, stay in a good frame of mind after falling at the last hurdle in game 1. It's all about redemption for this team.
We can see close by, we have also Kiduo. We have a lot of duos beginning to rotate now. Those teams that began on the south side of the map have to rotate up towards the northeast side. Whereas Janice and Vidil now can do it just that bit more safely, as they already got that elimination, got a good amount of damage, but some duos that might be looking for more. It's H and Mr. Savage.
H and Mr. Savage literally have the most maximum possible zone to rotate right now. All the way still here at Tilted Towers. They're not even good on materials. Obviously, we've not seen everything that's happened here, but it's clearly not been too great for this team. Even if they can win out the fights here against Jackson and Vico, they have such a journey to travel and a bunch of teams that will be in their way on that journey. This is not a good spot to be in for this team.
Look, I think the issue is they begin with that early game engagement being contested in Tilted Towers, and that battle lasts so long that other duos start rotating in and joining the battle, and it's a non-stop engagement. Being in that center of the map where so many duos rotate through, they just can't get out of that POI.
A team that was very much able to get out of POI. We got a light show going on here. You get everything in the FNCS. Everything that you want to see, all the excitement, all the fun. And of course, if you want some more fun, be sure to check out FN Comp Official on Instagram for all the best plays, best highlights, interviews, everything you want. What do you want, Takar?
Right?
What do you want?
I want interviews. I want player backstories.
You get backstories on FN Comp Official, so be sure to go check it out. I'm sure Splash has had plenty of time to check it out while he's been watching and spectating older, but now he's gonna have to put his phone down and get back in the game. He's just been rebooted. A second chance at life in this game. And an opportunity again to try and win.
Ooh. Was it worth it though? I mean, the issue is they did get that reboot, but now the time that was used getting that reboot, which could have been used to get damage, puts them 200 below. But you know, they're confident. Once they have a duo, once they have a player to push with, it just gives them that much more of an advantage.
It's always worth it. As a solo, if you can get the reboot off, you're much better with your teammate than you are without. There are rarely any opportunities where it's not worth it. Those are the ones where it's going to cost you a game completely. But ADN and Hardfind, though, can't afford to be costed now. They need to find some space, create some space. Hardfind's taking so much damage, but ADN will give him an extra time to breathe with that big shot. But things have gone from 100 or 0 to 100 very quickly for this team. Having now to use some mid-miss, get some shields. But they need to be careful. Can't afford to walk into the wrong alleyway again. Otherwise, they might not come out to live and tell the story. Looking now to just break their way on in and take this fight completely. 165 below. And so desperate times calling for desperate measures. They didn't actually connect with anything significant, surprisingly, coming from above, but you can see the intentions.
So many players close by, so many players from afar. So many Fiesta in here. Getting ready for the disco is now ADN. Wants to start the party, going straight into his opponent's safe space as he looks for the angle, but quickly finds out it's too dangerous. Place the armored wall. Will he get the flopper off? He does, but he gets a shot taken on him. Hardfind now, only 17 HP to work with, and now both players get eliminated.
Oh no, ADN and Hardfind, they tried to phase their way into the box, but it was just not the right door to be knocking on. And even for Squeeze and Podesai, oh, very similar situation. Squeeze.
Okay.
Oh, has he managed to do that? Vico absolutely melted in the zone. And that is such a nice find, but I don't know how much it's going to count for because the Squeeze still has so much to deal with. Podesai's been taking out H, and Mr. Savage finally starting to make their way into the zone. It's been a long journey for them, but they're doing well. They're taking fights and they're winning them. That is one of their biggest strengths. But they need to find some more HP for Savage. Pen does have the med miss, and that might come in clutch for him. But you can just see all the action taking place. There's so many teams now struggling to adjust to the new Storm Surge changes.
It really changes so much. I mean, the amount of action we are seeing, it's like an action movie as H and Mr. Savage make their way into zone now. Med miss being used. Mr. Savage got that HP back up, but H quickly gets cracked. There's so many duos hungry for that damage. They want to feast as now H is forced to build up, play with a bit more cover here, play safer. Vico up above, getting knocked down once again. Did not get finished last time he was knocked, but now the issue is the zone is coming to a close and these players have to move.
Yeah, another situation where they have to run their way in. Fortunately, though, it's not too much large of a distance, but they can't get complacent. Mr. Savage being a bit too greedy, not wanting to use his builds, and it's costing him vital HP and shields. What will Hen have in the inventory? Or H, I should say, sorry, have in the inventory to get him back up? The mini will come through. Oh my. What was seemingly supposed to be a very easy rotation inwards turns into them having to stop and almost use everything they've got.
It's scary, 11. It's scaring me even, and I'm watching here as H finds that opponent, trying to be sneaky, trying to blend in like a leaf in the bush as he gets taken out. That's another elimination for H now. It was yikes. 420 above. As now, hopefully, they decide to continue on with their rotate, get more inside of the zone, as that's been their biggest issue here. Meanwhile, we have default Stormy right, who have to worry more about that Storm Surge and not as much about positioning. 76 below, taking shots from afar, have a good amount of ammunition, but you have to connect these shots. 29 white, maybe even pick up a knock or even better, an elimination here.
Yeah. I know things right now in the lobby are very dark and hard to see, but maybe switching on his lights in his room would give him some more visibility. It's that desperate of a time, right? We're going to try everything you can for Marine and Neb, so this is just such an awkward spot to be in. Having to use armored walls to fend off against their opponents, sitting right up above Michael and Astro. And we've seen some of the challenges they've had to go through this game. And so they're no stranger to it, no stranger to fighting either. I don't think that's necessarily what they need to do. They need to start thinking about how they get into zone. There's so many people already sitting on the edge of that circle waiting for them.
I mean, it really was a lot easier to get away with getting tags from afar before this changed the Storm Surge. But now when you have to get just that much more damage, you might just have to take the risky play of going for an engagement, even if your final goal isn't to get an elimination or two, and it's just to get the damage. It might be the better play is now for Strokey, 73 below alongside Kylie here. Out of shields, only one med mist to work with. Goes for the very aggressive play down below, but his teammate goes down. Kylie's knocked out, so Strokey falls shortly after. And now both players are back in the menu waiting for game 3.
Yeah, that was a nightmare waiting to happen. Unfortunate for them, but we can just hope they can bounce back. For Strokey and Kylie, two very strong players, just not very fortunate in this game. Arto and Mixon, two players that have been putting in a lot of practice this week, as many other players in the lobby have been trying to play scrims to adjust to the new changes. And we're seeing, even with all their practice, all their effort, they are still figuring things out. 44 below now. And patiently waiting for that opening to come for Michael. Ooh. Maybe he should be a bit more patient. Does some damage, but still down below. And so we'll eventually have to re-peek again. But they are running out of shields, and so how much damage can they afford to trade is the big question. They need to get very fortunate and find something that doesn't cost them too much.
Just whispering into their opponent's ears would be enough damage right now to put themselves above the Storm Surge threshold. Is now Astro's aggressively looking to see what he can find. Luckily enough, though, I believe Michael there did pick up some tags, even if it costed him his shield. They do have some minis that they can use to recuperate that. But as time ticks, so does Storm Surge. 49 below for Michael and Astro. They have to be careful here. They have to continuously get this damage, but in the meanwhile, other duos have to do the same.
The big thing for Michael and Astro here is that they are very close to zone, if not actually in zone. And so the opportunities probably will come to them. They just have to be ready and waiting. They have little to work with by way of shields, and even materials are running very, very thin. But if they can find that right opportunity, it will go such a long way. Things aren't looking good for them, and they're not looking good for Raxi and Advice. Advice, not even here to help Raxi. Raxi gonna be joining Advice in the lobby. But Hydro, in a very similar situation to a lot of the teams we see just scurrying around there, all alone. Force, Shizo, another instance of Force having to play as a solo. A team that very much could qualify consistency. They're that level of a team, but they're already off to a rocky road today.
It's always dangerous. It's always puts that little bit of fear into you when you lose your duo partner, because you have that much more on the line, and it's just you that can make it happen in this match. The duo that does not have to worry about that is Janice Vidil, continuing the momentum from last match. But I want to see what happened here to H and Mr. Savage as they got out of their POI, but H went down. And possibly Mr. Savage as well, right behind them as they do. Both players getting eliminated, but they had 4 eliminations, Levin.
That's pain, though. That's pain to go down like that. That was a situation where they didn't necessarily have to go down. It wasn't all doom and gloom to start off with, but just caught unawares for Mr. Savage. And H just missing some shots he typically wouldn't even miss either. Very uncharacteristic for that team, but nevertheless, they must move on to the next game. There is still opportunities to fight for a spot. But Janice and Vidil, though, they don't want to even bother with that. They want to get out of the way now. It's now or never for them. Flixie and Frey, a team who has been working so hard this season to right the wrongs of the past, and definitely shining brighter than what we've seen them in previous seasons. Can this be their moment, though?
Hopefully, they can shine bright enough to come out on top here in this match. As you can see, they do have the first moving zone here. They have the position to pull it. They have the opportunities to take those shots from above, rain down onto their opponents. But you have to be careful, because they're not the only ones that want high ground. Opposite side of zone, another duo looking for it. As Aram and his duo partner here, 57 below, are going to begin their rotate. But the good news is that they'll have those chances to take shots.
Force is just so unfortunate when it comes to his material wealth, his HP, and his position. Having to rotate in the back, hope nobody even takes a whiff of him. For Flixie and Frey, they might be looking to try and get in on a team if they can, if they find that opportunity. Frey, though, needs to get back to Flixie. They need to find each other. for Grapple Enjoyer and Typo. Up above though. We've seen teams in this position and not able to hold on. That is going to be the big question for them to answer. For Forso, it's all about staying out, but he can't. Janice and Vidil, they'll be the ones to pick up Michael and take him out of the game after so long. But they also need to do even more. Things aren't looking too jazzy for them. We've seen them in stronger positions and fail.
Ramir looking to see if they can pick up this last little elimination that they have close by. They need this little bit of damage to not have to worry about the rotates going on, but with only one flopper left in the inventory, no shields, it gets that much more risky as Nebs now has lost Marine. Does have 3 uses on the grapple glove, using them very effectively to get ahead of zone here, but Janice has gone down, leaving Vidil as a solo, and Vidil might just as well go down. Both players are now eliminated.
Overwhelmed in the back of the zone. Vidil could not hang tight. Zaka, the one to deal with him. Nebs as a solo. What can he do in this cut situation? It's not looking good if we're being real. With no materials, just have to knock on someone's door and get an answer. But that's not the answer he's looking for. 34 HP, and he's missing shots now as well. Can't afford to do this. The grapple glove charges will move him closer to the front of the zone. For the same goal in mind, can he hit a shot that keeps his team in the game, that gives him a siphon, that gives him some mats?
Nebs having to play 0 build here. No materials to work with, but Typo looking to see if he can maintain this high ground as it gets contested down below now. Enjoyer groups up with his duo partner, but they have lost the high ground. Payna, Raisin have taken it.
Raisin and Payna, they hold on to high ground and they're taking shots at Frey and Flixie, who were looking up for a moment. These guys now are the ones that everybody will be looking at to win their game. They have such a dominant position, but can they hold on? For Nebs, he's trying to hold on as best as he can in this game, and he's done such a great job to outlast so many different teams, but will that job continue to be done? Can he stay in the zone? Can he not go down via the storm? That is the big question. He's trying to just sneak beneath these builds, and it's working out relatively well.
Like a fish in the sea, going below all the builds, swimming through, surviving as Nebs does go down, but secured a bit of placement there from playing it safely. And now Astrox and his duo partner here, no materials to work with, have to find cover, unable to do so, goes down. And now Blacha left alone, 4 minis to work with, but he has that confidence, just like Swagnata, who hits a massive shot onto DKS, now using the med mist to stay up, but Flixie and Frey from the high ground in first moving, that lost it, won it now for the end game. They know how important this victory royale is. This could be their qualification to the final.
They don't have materials though, but neither do Payna and Raisin seemingly, and so it's all about who's going to be able to connect to the vital shots, down to what seems like their last builds, and now down to the ground as they fall off. Raisin gets taken out as well. Flixie, Frey, they've done so well to claim height at this stage in the game, and now this is their opportunity to qualify.
Flixie and Frey gave up that high ground early, but conserved all their resources for this moment and made great use of it. Now with the high ground, have that upper edge on the high ground, have that position to dominate their opponents down below, as now his duo partner Canucks has no Pixie. 3 eliminations up above, playing as a solo, has to be careful here. Frey though could lose high ground. He's getting contested. The danger comes in. This is where the nerves get the best of you, Levin.
Frey, everything riding on this. He has so many heals to just stay alive for the meantime and try to figure out his journey to winning this game. But as he stays in the zone, we have many duos below just opting to try and fend for themselves before it gets chopped out. We've seen that already this game. And Frey now coming back into the swing of things and getting big shots. Can he continue to hit them though? A nice pump there from Frey. He's staying in the game, but for not much longer. Eventually snuffed out. Sangil and Loki, we saw them on height in game 1. This time round below, they are trying to win things out. They're trying to claim low. And Pixie, all as a solo, has to do it on his lonesome.
A 2 versus 1. Loki and Sangil on the low ground with the advantage. All they have to do are play their cards right. 2 med myths for Sangil. He can play the heal off if he wants to. Meanwhile, his duo partner goes for the engagement, or both of them can take it. Pixie up above now, looking to see what is his best option. Low-key choosing to go into the storm. He does not want to give that siphon to his opponent. They are going to play the heal off.
And this is ultimately the waiting game we've all been waiting for. it's very unlikely Pixie will have anything to match what is 2 med miss and a chug splash. He does have a med miss of his own, and he's certainly carrying around trying to find anything to hold on, but realistically, it just really won't be enough unless he finds something just beneath a brick wall or a stair here or there. There is not much hope for him. Sanguild, at this point, he's wondering if he holds on to it, but Pixie will eventually fall away. Sanguild and Loki will be playing in the FNCS final after holding on via heal-off.
Sanguild making the smarter decision there, playing the heal-off. Saw he had 2 med mist, he had chug splashes, and the odds of his opponent having the same amount or even more heals were way too low to not take that risk.
Look, it's never a guarantee when you look at your heals in your inventory and you say, look, I'm just gonna bet on this being enough. You can see how elated he is, the emotions coming through. An exciting time for this duo. Their chance now to go to the finals and show what they can do for the rest of the world to watch. A brilliant game 2 for Sanguild and Loki.
Really love to see the excitement once they secure that victory royale, and only 2 games have been played. 2 duos have marked their spot into the finals, but there's still so much more to happen and so many duos that have to give it their all. So let's break down the leaderboard, see what happens. Zeke and the analysts take it away.
Guys, Loki, Sanguild, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your names wrong.
You nailed it.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. You got to see the players' reaction. Just an incredible moment, and it's really cool as well that this was actually they overtook that first place spot, which means they qualify, which means now everyone in second down through 6, they're all going up now. So we have a new duo moving into that top 6. We'll talk about that in a second, because that game was crazy, though.
That game was absolutely crazy. And it's funny because this is a little bit different from the previous match. When I'm watching and I see they're down on low ground, we switched to their POV when all this mental height retakes were going on. And I was like, they have like 40 builds each. Everyone on height had 0. And it's like, okay, these guys have won.
And that's what you'd expect. But I mean, we did see a couple of duos pretty much plunging to their own deaths. Just a lot of issues, I think, with those materials into the later parts of the game. But for Sanguild and Loki, they made sure to just stay working alongside of each other the whole way through. I love the fact that they kept boxing out side by side, just trying to further ensure the fact that they wouldn't really run out of resources while they were moving throughout these moving zones.
I always have like a test to find newer players, right? To see how good they are. A lot of the times it's like, if YouTube comments like, Reese, you should look at this player. Or sometimes you just speak to people and they're like, you know, this guy is really, really good. That's exactly what I've heard about Loki repeatedly. When I went to DreamHack, it was just, oh, Loki's gonna do so good. And of course, look at the hype reaction as well. You know, he's been basically on the come up throughout this year, and it's so good to see him finally make his way through to the finals this season.
So good, man. So cool. And just think we have 3 more games just like this. Let's take a look at our standings. So remember, that #1 duo, they've already qualified. The next time we'll see them is finals. Everyone else playing for top 6. They will go into finals. Vidil and Janice, that's right. They're sitting there. They're sitting in that first place right now. I'm excited.
They're sitting comfortable. They were actually taking a bunch of mid-game elims there. We saw one against Floki and Clement down in Chonker Speedway.
Yes.
And then I can't remember, I think the Waze was another one they got, which they actually managed to get grapple gloves from as well. So they've been getting really, really elimination heavy in the early and mid-game. And that's really helped them out, basically get through the Storm Surge thresholds, which obviously, as we talked about earlier, are now way higher.
Yeah, there's so many duos trying to scrap it out early on just to make sure they maintain their tags so that if anything, if you're managing your Storm as appropriately as these two have been, well, it doesn't really hurt them as much to not be finishing in first place necessarily because they're still coming in top 5.
That's right. Friends, we have a very special segment here for you that Reese will actually be accompanied by our in-game analyst, Mini Miner. Friends, take it away.
Of course, one of the interesting dynamics of the One of the interesting dynamics of the semifinals is, of course, if you win a game, you're going to be removed from the lobby, right? And if we remember back to game #1 that we have here, of course, it was Refsguard and Clown who won that. Now, why you sitting looking? What matters? Who cares about game #1? We just watched game #2. Well, you got to remember, this actually has an impact because now, since these guys have been removed from the lobby, their drop spot opens up. So if we notice right here, this is actually the drop spot that they ended up going to. However, if we go over to the north of Loot Lake there, you're going to see this was a team that was landing there, which is Rox and Robab. So in game #2, they've gone, well, guess what? Now there's a free drop spot opened up. So they've moved their drop spot now to land in Sunflower Saplings because it was free.
It absolutely was. But of course, that does have some implications as well for Ops and Robab right now. They don't know this drop spot. They haven't scrimmed it. They haven't practiced it enough potentially to come out and pop off. But they also might not have the Storm Surge off spawn. They've gone from a contested drop spot to now an uncontested drop spot. Reese, how big of an impact will this have on their performance?
Well, I mean, it went from them placing 39th in game 1 to 27th in game number 2. So it didn't actually impact positively, unfortunately. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
I see. Now you're hanging out with Miniminer, no longer hanging out with OC.
I'm going. I'm going.
I mean, it was good at first, but Mini does do it pretty well as far as the whole hosting thing is concerned.
Get out of here. We're going into game. We're going to go ahead and go into game number 3 time because I'm tired of my analysts. That's not true. Guys, game number 3 of the FNCS Day 1 semifinals happens right now.
Game 3.
Thank you very much, Zeke and the analysts. It's going to be a fun ride as we head into what is now the 3rd game of the semifinals. The first 2 have been very exhilarating. Of course, we saw different flavors in these 2 games, and I can't wait to see what the 3rd has to offer.
I mean, we don't have to wait long, Levin. The battle bus is ready. The engine is started. The thrusters are going. Flame, coal being burnt as now the players continue to run it through. Remember, these players that have qualified are no longer participating. That has the possibility to open up a drop spot, open up a POI even, if they had it uncontested before qualifying. And these changes could be incredibly impactful for duos that have not been doing too great off the start.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the changes we've seen with the Storm Surge, I'm sure a lot of teams will be wishing and praying that they have more loot on the map. And so if teams are being taken out, there's more loot in general available to everybody. How much of that will be claimed is obviously a different matter, but nevertheless, we are ready to go off spawn. Knox now over at the gas station towards Shuffle, and he's not hit the revolver shots off spawn, but he will have to try and connect to them eventually as he looks for some more loot. Dandir and Skydo, they don't land it, well, they didn't land it during the qualifiers, but I'm sure with Cammy and Seti being gone, they did see it as an opportunity to step into their shoes.
I mean, just like I was bringing up, as these players are dropping in, if a player qualifies and there's no longer going to be dropping in that spot, there could be multiple duos that say it's our chance to go there now, and they end up contesting each other. You have 3 duos going against each other, so it really depends what decisions these players make, as now Knox and his partner here looking to see if they can get a flank, get an angle on Dandif, who is actually incredibly low. It could just take one big shot to knock him down here as Knox hits that big shot, knocking him on his knees, looking up. And now Knox with the upper edge on his duo here, on his opponent, sorry, as they look on his duo. Doing some team-on-team action, you know? But Sky now's put in a situation I wouldn't like to be in the 1 versus 2, but if he hits his shots and connects that big one, it could be enough, but the big shots being connected is by Knox here, with just one more shot until he gets it, and there it is. Sky now going down.
Yeah, I like that from Knox. He's hitting some big shots a couple times there, right? Hitting a couple headshots here and there with a pump. I'm liking that. He's putting the striker to good use. For Astra and Michael over at the Bugle, we already saw them off spawn last time round, and they barely survived by their skin of the teeth. But this time round, a bit more of a head-to-head engagement. Both just going at it, and Astro realizing he can drop down and find a little loophole to get in around, and will take Fury down. Chus already went down before Fury, so a good start to the game for Astro and Michael, not as turbulent as what we saw in game 2.
A lot quicker of an engagement. Really did not take long at all. As now Vikan here is on one of the islands. He thought they might have been on a vacation, but quickly enough that vacation turns into a dangerous one as they look to take shots from the sides, rain those bullets against the walls, break the metal, but be careful. As only 17 builds to work with, their opponents are going to be low as well. Taking shots, hitting them. Looks like his opponent is out of materials, making use of that to take down one. And now with one shot away, both eliminations on the board.
That's real nice. You know, sometimes committing to the blue fight there is never the easiest thing to do, but it's all about winning the next fight in front of you. For Gunbury, they've already picked up 2, but with Zeston and Waze waltzing their way on in, will it be a similar situation? Will they be able to connect to the nice shots we just saw them hit? Zeston and Waze are never two easy players to fight. And when they're so hungry, it can be difficult. But if you're going to flank round them like that, if you're going to catch them unawares, then maybe their confidence won't matter. Gundry, he's hit so many big shots already, and he continues as well. What a flank. It didn't seem like Zeston always had any clue. They didn't have the sound cues or nothing. Like
that was impressive, Levin. Gundry really showing what can be done with that auto shotgun and also with the positioning, flanking his opponent. And I mean, they didn't really even stand a chance. You thought they would have the disadvantage, but he showed dominance in that battle and managed to not only get 2 eliminations, but bump it up to 4. As now, Jackson here with Rico in the Rave Cave, looking to see if they got into an off-spawn engagement. I mean, I really get excited with these off-spawn engagements, but someone else that has the same excitement for that, it's Mini Miner. Let me know what you have to say.
Thank you, Takata. I'm indeed very excited. And so else is Floki and Clement. They've won off spawn. Of course, in game number 1, they didn't have the greatest time. They went down almost immediately, but this time they have won, and hopefully this can make them have a really, really good endgame here.
Yeah, this is their chance, this is their moment, right? I think that's going to be one of the biggest things in these sort of games. If you can't win off spawn, you literally have no chance. Like, you literally just have to sit there for almost half an hour and just wait for everybody else to go at it. An update here on this fight. Joe and Zero without Chapix. A team that you could argue maybe shouldn't have even been in the semi-finals after the performance they put on last FNCS final. Definitely a team who you wanted to see get straight there, and so winning that fight is a good start to their journey to that final. But it has to continue, that consistency has to stay true. Janish and Vidil, as much as they would want to win a game and close things out that way, just outright winning on the leaderboard via consistency wouldn't be too shabby either.
Look, they just want more practice, Levin. They're holding off. I know this duo. They're confident. They're veterans. They want to just secure as much practice as they can for those finals. And then maybe in game 5, we'll see them get the victory royale. But for now, what we're going to see is Force applying that force to his opponents in the shifty shafts here, dominating his position, trying to show what he's really made of here. Has a very good amount of heals with 4 floppers, 4 splashes, and an epic auto shotgun. It's actually a loadout that I would not want to lose so early on. But Walks, Rabab here, down below, deciding, are they going to get into this battle? Is it worth it for them? Do they need the damage? Or should they play it a bit slow?
Rabab, a very proficient fighter. We've seen that countless times in EU. But having to put his fighting skills to their test here, and also needing to make sure he doesn't show off any poor awareness skills. Force and Shizo above them. Also 2 players with a lot of firepower, to say the least. But this is very interesting. Mr. Savage and H up here at this Reality Falls area. Their off-spawn battle didn't quite go their way. I believe we saw Mr. Savage actually going down in the feed earlier on. So H was able to pick him back up. But this is definitely an uphill battle. We've seen them in so many scuff situations, right, in the qualifiers and even today in the semis. And it seems like we're seeing them in another one here.
I mean, you can see with the great pistol from Mr. Savage, after being brought back, he only had so much time to actually recuperate that loot that he could have been farming up, looting up in the Tilted Towers. But let's see an update here on another engagement closer to the edge of the map. Great shots being connected, lasering his opponent. And in the 1 versus 2, is it going to be enough to come out on top? I mean, even if your duo partner goes down away here, being aware of his surroundings, connecting a beautiful striker pump shot. I mean, you can never really give up, especially when there's so much on the line. Now, gonna be able to pick up his duo partner, get the reboot in, and with the grapple gloves, they are set up for the late game.
Yeah, that was real nice from Aware, looking like a heavyweight fighter with 2 massive right hooks. From the Frizzy and Lusher. The team that I am very much hoping will qualify today. Obviously at the Rave Cave. In this game, they have the grapple gloves, which is interesting because they don't always have them. Sometimes they leave them for Vico and Jackson. But in this game, with the grapple gloves at their hands, can they mount, not really a comeback per se, because they've not been doing necessarily bad, but Can they mount a push strong enough to win them the game and qualify to the final? Pixie and Fork will be hoping to do something of the sort. We saw them so close last game.
As now we look over to the Daily Bugle, Michael and Astro did show the position they were in the early game, finishing that battle so quickly, but a battle that's taken longer. It's one of the Rave Cave here. Hard find ADN. They're looking to see if they can pick up that extra bit of damage early on, not have to worry about it later. Having the upper edge in the 1 versus 2 now. Going into Vico, knocking on his door, saying hello. It's me, I want that damage, I want that elimination, I want those points. As he looks for another angle up above, ADN now crouching, avoiding, making noise here. Spots Vico, gets one tag, gets the edit, and oh, Levin, what have we just witnessed here?
We have witnessed something that is quite frankly excellent from ADN and Hard Find. Well, I don't know. Honestly, man, look, I feel like we've all been there as Fortnite players, you know. Sometimes you do just get flushed out of the lobby rather quickly like that. And that was certainly one of those times. And look, if you know Vico, Vico's a very talented player, right? He's no easy opponent. But they made it look easy. Hydro, Belusi. Currently just outside of what would be a spot via consistency. But they won't be too worried about that. Still a couple more games to go. 2 more after this one to cement themselves. But of course, that starts with the work now. Till and Cosmo, similar sort of situation. The big thing for them is that they're looking good when it comes to their materials. Of course, whether or not they have enough damage will be the big question. And ultimately, that's been the question for every team. Do you have enough damage? Are you above Surge? For Janice and Vidil, they've answered that question quite a few times, and the answer is always yes. Not struggling in that regard. And another game where they are sitting comfy above, or comfy at least compared to the rest of the people around them.
I mean, having that experience of Fortnite shows that you're able to adapt. If you've been competing at a top level for so long, I've mentioned it so many times, but I do it because it's so important. You need to be able to adapt. When there's changes like this that are made, Storm Surge becoming that much more aggressive, you have to be able to know how to change your play style and use that to your advantage against your opponents who have not put in as much work. Janice and Vidil sitting in that first place spot on the leaderboard show that they do put in the work, and it pays off.
For Till and Cosmo, another team that's been putting in plenty of work since the new changes have come out. But another team that still is trying to get their grasp on things, of course, putting that plan into action is always the more difficult part. But for them, have their eyes set on this team here, and it's going to be Joe and Joe about Chapix. But is this the right fight to take? Is this the right opportunity to deal that damage, deal that surge up against 2 of the better fighters in the land? Joe and Zero about Chapix, such strong fighters. And Joe just sitting on this peak, ready and waiting. The Welshman is hungry, never backs down from a fight, never shies away from these sort of situations. But they also need to be careful. The armored walls protecting their backside to stop the third party from having sight on this fight.
Reinforcing, barricading up their boxes, making sure that they don't give their enemies an opening. But that opening might just be what they want. 228 below. Cosmo now and Till have to do something here as their opponents without Chapix and Joe are 500 above. They do not need to do any damage at all, and they're going to use that to their advantage. They're going to block off the shots from their opponents. They're going to let them take Storm Surge, let them lose shield and HP, and once they already have that advantage, they'll go in for that third party, for those eliminations. But Resin and Noah, they're one of the duos that need that damage. Just 3 below, bumping it up to 25 above, but now putting themselves in a situation where they can be sent right back to the lobby as Till and Cosmo secure 1. Just 1 left, though. They get the 88 crack. He gets the shot. But so far, he decides to play it a bit safe. Back out. Go more into the zone. You already have the damage. You do not want to get knocked here.
Yeah, having to use a lot of metal to protect himself. But we just saw a trade of blows amongst so many different teams, and there were some winners and losers on different sides. Zero Chapix and Joe definitely would be considered winners here. Almost 600 above Surge, max materials. And Wox hitting a big shot. We saw him and Robab Kebab earlier, not in the strongest of positions, struggling. And even though Robab isn't here, Wox still managing to stay in the game.
Orion and Nebs now. I mean, they're on that borderline, like many of these duos, where they really don't need too much damage, but in just a second, it could instantly change, and you could be so far below that you're forced to make a risky play. So you don't want to put yourself in that position, as Typo has actually done a rotate, which I don't think was the right one there, as he uses that environmental launchpad with so many duos based up already. Really just opened up the line of sight for them. With Storm Surge 2 being active here, it's just that much more of an opportunity for these duos to take shots.
For Mr. Savage and H there, you saw they were looking very scuffed, and so another situation, another game where they're probably going to have to just force a 50-50. And we've seen how they've gone, or how that's gone for them. For Fire Hunter, these fights have gone incredibly well, countless times throughout the FNCS. And again today, they picked Typo up, and they can now start to move their way on in, but things aren't all looking good. Oh, as he tries to hop his way in, skipping around. The big thing is, again, they do not one bit have the level of materials needed to continue to go about this game. And so how they go about that, is that via taking a fight? Is that via looking for a refarm in Tilted? More likely, with the zone pulling away, it will have to be a fight. For Grapple Enjoyer, it's just about staying alive, but there's not real hope for that. Eventually will fall, not at the hands of Surge, but just by Storm itself. And actually, Robab is back in the game, which is huge, because if these two are alive and firing as a duo, Sakata, they're a big threat to the lobby.
Robab now finds the chug splashes, has the med mist, but look at their HP, Levin. I mean, if one duo sees them going in here, they're going to use a lot of resources, but they predict that's going to happen anyways and choose to use the extra amount of resources. All the metal from Robab there almost being used up with only 20 more builds to work with. They played the safer route getting into zone, but the issue is now they have to make an aggressive play. They have to find that refresh.
It's a max distance zone. And when you're looking at their materials, not looking good on the hard materials. Obviously don't have grapple gloves either. And so it's not looking great. Even for a team that does have grapple gloves though in Slimy and Birch, things aren't looking good. They don't have enough damage. They need to start hitting shots as the Surge is ticking away at them. And there's nobody immediately in their radius that they can just jump in and take a 50-50 against. And so they're just hoping that they can find some tags and players who are leaving openings, leaving gaps in their tops, just like that one. 26 damage isn't enough to put them above. But those are the sort of opportunities they need to find. They need to connect with something, and soon.
And I think they will, but the issue is, even if they do, they're so low on shield, they're so low on loot, that they're gonna get into situations later on in this match that if they don't get that refresh, a reminder, if you don't know what a refresh is, it's that elimination which recuperates your resources, your materials, your loot, and gives you that siphon, that 50 HP or shield from the elimination alongside the resources you get from it. And it's crucial. Now with Storm Surge being so aggressive, being so dangerous, these players run out of materials, run out of loot, ammunition so quickly because they're forced to look for this damage a lot more aggressively than they're used to. And we can see that here as Pixie being 158 below after having 2 eliminations means that they have to put themselves in a position to get that damage.
Fork and Pixie having to aggressively force their way into the zone. Don't want to be scrushed down below, and so they'll elevate a bit just to have a bit of extra space. But there are still players on this layer that will look to take fights against him, and we're seeing that here now. On the other side of that wall, it is Polly that's dealing the damage, and Fork and Pixie now have to answer the questions. Shotguns are out and ready, but not able to really connect with anything too significant. The big positive, though, is that they were able to push themselves just above Surge. And so they aren't worrying about that just yet, but they still want to keep fighting. They still want to keep moving in that right direction.
Fork and Pixie now continue to rain down on bullets, clashing against their opponent's build. 73 above now. It's crazy how they have already 2 eliminations, but still so much more damage they need. They are above now, so they won't be losing HP, but that can quickly change. All these duos now are looking for damage, getting more and more, causing the players that don't find those shots to go down below the Storm Surge threshold, just like Fork and Pixie have done now. 4 below, just need to whisper into their opponent's ears, scare them a little bit to get enough damage. 3 below, looking for that one shot, the one bullet to connect onto their opponents, onto their enemies, as they keep getting more and more below. As time goes on, actually Fork gets even knocked down now. Flonada looking to connect another shot, but his teammate has gone down. They could trade here, but Flonada wants that action. He's feeling the confidence, and he gets those 2 eliminations, and now it's gonna have time to bring up his partner.
Took the walls, had the edits, connected with the shots, and he can revive his teammate as well. What almost was the end of their game will be the continuation. This is the end, though, for Hardfine and ADN. Lusher, the one to stop them out. The Freezy just taking time to heal as his teammate basks in the loot. They'll get back together as well in the zone. And first moving is not a bad pull for them at all, especially with the grapple gloves, but the Freezy doesn't actually have one, right? And so how that plays out, how they work together with that one will be something to watch for, but for nothing, Vidil and Janice taken out of the game by Joe and Astro, different players on different teams, but both capitalizing on the weakness of the Germans there.
The first place duo getting knocked down in 6th zone before first moving even begins. As now, Nefrizzi, Lusha gonna continue to rotate down below, do not want to get that pressure applied to them, so they are going to rotate a bit late. But meanwhile, the duos that have those grapple gloves are beginning now to fly through the skies, drifting through the wind. I'd be scared if I was down below here with all the players dropping on top of them. 43 above now for Birch and Slimy. Still 5 charges on that grapple glove. A lot of opportunity, and Nefrizzi has actually taken the high ground with Lusha, but quickly enough his opponents won it as well. They continue to build up. They continue to show which duo has the dominance here on the high ground as they get ahead. One of the most important factors of maintaining that high ground, but it's not his teammate that got ahead. It's Nebs and Marine.
Nebs and Marine saw the weakness. They sat at the front of the zone. They saw the teams fighting for it. They realized they weren't alert, and so they take it for themselves, and it looks like they will be able to hold on to it as long as they can keep applying that pressure. From the Freezy and Lusha, they stay on second height, they stay alert, they stay ready and waiting for an opportunity to strike back. But for Flow, for Hell, they are now, as a duo, combined in the mid-ground, looking for opportunities, looking for refreshes as their materials start to run low. And Joe and Zero About Chapix in a very similar situation now, waiting for these teams lurking in the backside. And the opportunities might arise. The Citrus barely escaping, just managing to get out of dodge. Frey not able to stay out of the way of Fire Hunter, but Fire Hunter quickly running out of materials to catch him up. And now pushing his way into a box to recoup those mats, but unfortunately will not be able to win things out right. Joe and Zero About Chapix though continue to move on in.
They build up, but meanwhile the duos that are up ahead in zone. It's Belusi, it's Haijo looking back, taking advantage of those players that are rotating in late. But meanwhile, Nabs and Marine, this could be their shot. This could be their opportunity as they still have the high ground. Flixie's gone down. Frey now left alone. No grapple glove to work with this time. 2 big pots on the line, but will he have the time to use them?
Frey is a solo again, but this time will it be an opportunity to redeem himself, to turn the tide, to go at it again? It may be that way on the outside, but on the inside, things are so difficult. The nerves maybe get into him as he's trying to search for anything, just looking to try and get around this tree. Will he farm it to get extra materials? He certainly needs it. The Frizzy and Lush are still up as a duo, but not looking as strong as we saw them earlier.
2 eliminations from the Freezy. Lusha with 3. They have the elims, but they want that placement. They want the victory royale. They want the spot in the finals as Lusha has been cracked. Lusha goes down now to Frizzy. Is forced to take this engagement in a 1 versus 2 or disengage and keep rotating. He's going to choose the safer option, but he has to be careful. The pressure is going to be applied. Joe now looking to see if he can group up with his duo partner, but Marine and Nebs, they are still dominating the high ground.
Marine and Nebs still holding on. They want to join their age mates up in the finals, and this might be their chance to do it. For Astro and Michael, they're looking to try and pressure people down below. as it becomes a decision of do we go down, do we look up? With no materials, the option might just have to be going down. But if they go down, they'll find the likes of Hydro lurking around, trying to find an opportunity to hit a big shot, but that opportunity will not come as Michael forces him out of the lobby. Him and Astro have done so well to clear teams out, and the team that has cleared so many teams out, Zero about Chapix and Joe. 9 eliminations so far in this game.
All duos up currently. That's 4 duos, 8 players as now the numbers start going down. Michael gets knocked. His duo partner falls shortly after. Now Joe and Zero without Chapix are on the low ground. They are dominating it. It's a 2 versus 2. It's high ground Nebs Marine. It's the Joe and Zero without Chapix duo on the low ground. The Victory Royale is going to secure them that golden ticket to the finals, but who is going to be able to take it? Zero without Chapix looking to make his way into zone. He has the elims, but he wants the Victory Royale as Nebs and Marine continue to use that upper edge on their positioning to take the shots and do the damage.
They are staying cool, calm, and collected. They realize the stakes, they realize the moment, and they just have to connect to the shots. They still have some materials to keep them ticking along. And so Zero about Chapix and Joe will continue to try and snuffle them out, frustrate them from below as they're not working with much at all. Just gonna have to use the ARs to try and bitter them down, try and knock out their builds, but eventually they will have to force them down into a fight. And Nebs and Marine know that they're not taking the bait, they're staying up above and hitting big shots as well. This is their moment. Can Nebs and Marine close things out, as it's only Joe left, and we've seen him hit crazy clutches before, but this is too much of a task for him to handle as he heads on up. It's gonna be Marine to connect to the finishing blow. Nebs and Marine will be in the FNCS final.
Nebs and Marine showing their dominance, taking home game number 3. And this is just getting started. The players have secured some positionings in the finals, but a majority of the duos today still have yet to get the amount of points needed to qualify or secure another Victory Royale. I mean, the nerves keep getting higher as these games go on.
An absolutely professional job from Nebs and Marine. That was such a cleanly executed end game there. They went to the front of the zone in first moving. They looked up at height. They saw teams fighting for it. They saw the shambles players and they said, yeah, this is our time. We will take it. We will hold on to it and we will win the game. Such a well executed finish. And I can't wait to see them do more of that in the final.
What I loved is there was so many duos up. In the previous matches, there was a lot of solo plays, but it really shows that the synergy and the teamwork within these players have been getting built up. But I don't want to build something up now. I want to break something down. Well, not me, but Zeke, Taco, and Reese. So let's hand it on over to them.
Sometimes Tokata is just a master wordsmith. That was one of those moments. My goodness, game number 3. Marine and Nebs just take the bull by the horns and they say, you know what? This is our game. We don't want to lose. We're going to go to finals.
And all on, like, this all started at the start of the game. And then before this even, I was going to say, before this even qualifier happened, we saw them off spawn repeatedly, kind of getting bullied about over and over again. They decided to change up their drop spot, now lagging Logjam, played safe off the drop, and now played safe on high ground throughout the entire game as well.
Sometimes all you need is a quick little change of pace, and not only that, but I think Nebs and Marine, they were able to control that high ground rather effectively. I mean, even when their materials started to run a little bit low, Marine able to connect, able to get that refresh, look for the refresh on materials as well, and that's what really gave them the edge there at the very end over Joe and Zero.
And I love the fact that the height retake that they did was just kind of a classic. Get to front side of zone, look at the teams who are fighting at the backside. Now this is ours, and they've just won the game from that.
Well, there's so much chaos already kind of like happening in these games, right? Like, sometimes that's just all you need. Like, how do we win games? We take high ground, you walk up, you're like, no one has it? All right, freebie to finals, I guess. But another duo that did kind of okay there, Levin's prediction, Lucia and company. I mean, they're putting up numbers. I like to see that.
It was looking really good, I'm not gonna lie, because we kept seeing like eliminations from them come through the board. They looked like the height team to beat it out this game, and in all honesty, I thought it was gonna go down to them, but they were the team it was obviously retaken from.
And there was just so much congestion as well inside of that mid-ground gameplay. I mean, Freezy, Lucia, they did everything they could, I think, to try and hold on to it for as long as possible, but eventually, I think the numbers just swarmed, overwhelmed them a bit at the end there, but can't really feel too bad about picking up 5 elims. It's still going to be a nice little bump up for the leaderboard standings.
Not bad at all, and I think when we see the leaderboards here, yes, they've actually managed up into 5th now, Zeke.
That's right, they're holding strong. Look at this, Frey and Flixie though, right? One game, we find ourselves in that top 6. If you're just joining us, where players are either looking for a victory royale or to hit that top 6 marker. From there, They're going right to finals. We only have 2 games left to go here on the day. How are you feeling this is all kind of like unfolding?
I mean, I think it's unfolding very interestingly because obviously we saw a big start from Vadil and Janus, who've now that game, because they went down in 20th, dropped down 3 places. Obviously, you've seen huge shift ups. Basically, look at all of those delta markers, right? Next to, Zeke, give me some visual representation. Look at how big those are. Like, Frey wasn't in the top 6 before that, Nefreezy wasn't. Belusi's just moved on up. Kanox also was not in there as well. So the top 6 and the qualification threshold has just completely shaken up halfway through the tournament.
Well, even in the top 6, I mean, from Belusi and upwards, it's looking rather solid, but going into the second page of the standing here, Reese, I mean, 60 points for 11th place there from Zaka and Haram, and not only that, but it seems as though any of these teams at any given moment, even in this top 20, could essentially leapfrog their way into that top 6 of the standings.
Yeah, and I think the team who's already started to do that is Joe and Zero Without Chapik, up 32. Yes, 32 placement thresholds, 12 elimination game. That's the only elims that they've gotten throughout the entire tournament. And they've just fired up into now a position. You got to remember, like, we look to the second page of the leaderboards there, and although, yeah, they're not on the first page, there's 2 teams left. Remember, if any of them win a game, even if they've not managed to get into the top 6, that's an auto qualification anyway.
But Joe and Zero, I mean, it felt like they were doing all the heavy lifting in this lobby for a moment there, because a 12 elim finisher and nearly being able to bring it into the first place would have been a bit too poetic, but still, you can't knock the amount of pressure that they were applying throughout the entire lobby.
Absolutely, and you can see the high ground retake was really interesting, but one of the differences with the grapple gloves this season is the fact that you have to touch the ground or land before you can shoot. So that high ground retake was a great attempt by Joe there. However, you got to land before you can shoot, and that just kind of left it open. That essentially was what lost them the game.
Yeah, but I mean, kind of like to your point, valiant effort, right? Especially in these, once again, extremely chaotic games, for Joe to kind of like realize that's my play. I have to just kind of risk it all here. Super dope. And I mean, they just need another game like this and they'll be fine.
I mean, you say another game like this, but you're like another 12 eliminations second. Like, a lot of the teams in the lobby would pray for one game like that, and you're asking for 2, you know? That's a big ask.
But then again, all the aggressiveness that we've seen thanks to a lot of these new Storm Surge changes, and not only that, but I feel like these duos, like Takata was mentioning, are just really starting to find a nice rhythm throughout. We're seeing a lot more earlier tags. We're seeing a lot less duos falling victim to becoming solos throughout.
That's right. Only 2 games left to go here in just day number 1. We got another 2 duos that are going to make it through from Victory Royales, and then we have to turn our attention to that top 6 to see who makes it through as well. It's that time. This is game number 4 of the FNCS semifinals.
Game 4.
Thank you, Zeke. It really feels strange hearing it from Zeke. 3 games down, but we're not at the halfway point. We're closer than ever to the finish of semis day 1. Only 2 more matches to be played out, Levin. 5 total games, which means 11 duos qualified today. Tomorrow and the day after, there'll be 12, but today, it's only 11.
Not many more chances for today, but for the teams who will be looking to take these opportunities, the stage has been set, the foundation has been laid in these 3 previous games. We've seen teams do it a whole variety of ways, holding on from high, doing it from low, helos even, but who will step up in game number 4? That is the question that we will be trying to answer to Carter. I think for me, I'm excited to see if the teams who have been consistent so far today will stay true or whether they will fall away. That is what everybody wants to know.
Look, normally, Levin, you say in the second to last game is where you have to set yourself up for the last match in a good position to be in that qualifying range. But the good part about semifinals, sorry, a little bit of Spanish came out of me there, is that even if you're down, you could be last place on the leaderboard. If you secure that victory royale, you're going to the finals.
That is ultimately what everyone is looking to do. And I think the big thing as well that we need to pay attention to in these last couple games is that the teams who aren't currently in that top 6, right, they will be praying, hoping, wishing that somebody in the top 6 wins a game, right? So that another spot is freed up and everything moves on up in the standings, right? Because as you win a game, you're taken off the leaderboard. And so a lot of the teams who we've seen in that top 6 are teams that are getting close to winning games out. So that's never out of the realms of possibility for sure. For Clement and Floki though, they just need to focus on winning off spawn. That's been something that they've not done consistently so far today. But after last game, definitely not a bad turn in events, a bad turn in momentum.
I got a bit of deja vu Mr. Savage actually got eliminated off the start. One of the first players, actually the first to go down. But you don't want to get too scared yet, because that's exactly what happened in the last match, and we saw them in the end game. So hopefully they'll be able to get rebooted back up again. But look, it's Zero without Chapix. It's Joe, the duo that bumped themselves up 32 placements in the leaderboard last match, are now continuing the fire. 2 more eliminations for Zero without Chapix and Joe here. That's 4 points on the board already. Sorry. But we quickly switch over to Reality Falls. It's Vortex, it's Hi Chris, as now Belusi and Hi Joe take the upper edge in this engagement, taking down one, the 2 versus 1, finishing up quicker and smoother than butter. I mean, what a great way to start your match.
Yeah, when the emotes start coming out after you win a fight off spawn, you know it's getting personal. You know the emotions are high. But that's what it's all about, right? It's the highest level of competition. Everything's intense. You want to rattle your opponents, get into the opposition's minds as they head into the last game with everything on the line. Vidil, Janice, Osborne at Greasy's been a much easier time than what they've been accustomed to all season long. But it's just all about converting that into a special placement on the leaderboard. 4th right now is good enough, but I'm sure they'll be able to push for even more.
Another duo here that's actually 2nd on the leaderboard. Belusi Hi Joe, who started off strong with those 2 early game engagements. Like you were saying, it would be very good for any of these players in the top 6 if one of their opponents qualify there. I mean, it just gives you that extra bit of safety, as now Sky is really looking for the safety here. But unfortunately enough, I don't think he's gonna have it, as Pabnata here and his duo partner cleaning him up like he was a little mosquito on the ground. And now they continue to look around. 4 points on the board for this duo.
Yeah, I was gonna say safety and Pabnata. I don't think those 2 words go together well, right? That brother will make it anything but safe for you if you're up against him in a fight. For Strokey and Kylie, maybe looking for a bit of revenge. You saw them going down in an unfortunate circumstance last time round, but over at Rocky Reels, you don't necessarily want to be taking a fight against Fort and Pixie. We've seen them win here off spawn and do relatively well throughout the day. For Michael and Astro, they've been doing exceptionally well throughout the day.
Oh.
But this maybe is a turn for the worst. I'm gonna get out via the cobwebs that we've seen them use quite a bunch. Takes them all the way across the other side. But for Astro to go down like that is never great. They will have time to get the revive, but this is how he went down actually. Just some stinger SMG to the face. Fury and Toos will continue to push through and look to close it out.
You scared me there, Levin. You were talking about how well they were doing and almost gave them that caster curse, taking them out. As Astro did go down, but now Michael might have saved the day, but they still have a mountain to climb if they want the day to be fully saved. Astro did get that med kit used up. Now has recuperated all his HP. He's missing some shield though. On the good news for that duo, it's their enemies right now, Fury and his duo partner. They are also missing a bit of HP here, so both duos, all players are on even grounds currently. And it's up to them if they want to go all in and take these engagements, or if they want to play it just for that damage. They've traded damage. They've gotten what they needed. But now you're going to have to begin that rotate. You're going to have to get yourself in a position where you can continue to get that damage in a safer position.
The big thing for them, obviously, is that, you know, we've seen them consistently make it to end games. Even when there were opportunities for other teams to third party at the Bugle, they still managed to work their way around the fights and get out when needed. And so they're clearly experienced, they're clearly familiar with how to navigate this POI. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. But once again, Takata, you know, I always seem to come through with a caster curse at some point, right? So let me shut my mouth real quick.
Look at this Elim leaderboard, though. Joe, FN, and Zero without Chapix. From having 0 eliminations to getting 12 in one game, and now being on the top of that Elim leaderboard, this is reminding me a bit of Qual 1 Merstash Malibuka, who made the comeback halfway through the tournament. I mean, I'm excited to see what they can pull off, but I'm also excited to see what Astro and Michael can do here. It looks like they want to take this engagement.
Michael connecting big with a shot there. And he's not finished, he's not done, he's on the chase, he's on the hunt. And he will connect with a couple more shots as well if he can reach around the corner. His job's not being made easy here, just running up the stairs. Running up that hill towards his opponent. And Astro trying to find another angle to try to take Fury out, and he will find it. Fury had no clue what hit him. But again, the third party coming in from all different sides of the bugle right now. But a really nice dub, for Astro and Michael as they try to avoid the wrath of Zohan and Splashy.
Great job, though, making sure they're able to show their dominance. But another duo that's going to have to do the same. Flixie Frey, who have put themselves on the edge of the map here in a position. What a ramp to block the shot off from his opponent. Connecting the 128, getting the knock, getting the elim. Frey and Flixie, you're insane.
This is not a team that you would necessarily highlight as one of the stronger fighting teams, but in any case, they show up when needed. Now needing to close things out. And to fire and to actually just stay alive at all. There's a team taking shots from a distance, and they've caused Flixie to just have to sit there and heal. What was such a good situation, such a good position, is slowly turning into one that maybe they wish they weren't in whatsoever. So many teams in this area. It's not very common to see this many teams just all perched here. But when there's opportunities for damage to be dealt, that's exactly what will happen.
But I was speaking on something in the early game. It was that Mr. Savage got knocked down early, but I believe there's one person that can let us know what happened after that. Mini Miner, let us know.
Thank you to Carter. Now, of course, we did see Mr. Savage going down earlier on, and H does, in fact, get the reboot. But this is something I really, really love. He's actually building up to take the fire onto the team that would have knocked Mr. Savage out of the air. That then caused them to, you know, get a little bit scrambly. They're thinking, oh, no, we're getting shot at, rather than able to take Mr. Savage out. And as a result, Mr. Savage survives and can keep on going through the end game. Of course, getting that great loot as well for H. I'm excited to see this team pop off.
It's good to see these two still in the game. The big question around them is just the decision-making being made in the latter stages of the game. It's all going to well being able to survive off spawn at Tilted and, you know, get the reboot, keep them both in the game, but what are they doing when they're in the game? Of course, Mr. Savage is the one that takes a lot of the responsibility for the IGLing, the strat calling, and it's been something that many people around the community have questioned his ability to do. Will this be the opportunity for him to prove his haters wrong? That's always what he looks to do. But the talent's not the problem, Sakar. We know they have the talent necessary to be playing in an FNCS final. It's all about piecing it together with the right decisions, though.
This is a repeat of last match for Mr. Savage and H. For the early and mid game, at least, from going down, being the first player to go down, to getting rebooted and continuing it out. The issue is in last match, they weren't able to secure as many points as they would have liked. So now they have to figure out what went wrong and how can they change it going into this match. And we'll see exactly that and if they're able to accomplish it later on in the match. But so far, for duos like Pabnada, Swagnada, with already 2 eliminations on the board, you'd think it's enough surge, but with this change, they still have to look for tags and they still have to do damage.
Yeah, they're well on their way to zone, though, which is a good thing, especially with how far northwest it's pulled. We'll see which teams will actually take advantage of that. We've seen teams in the qualifying weeks win games that are max distant pulls. In fact, Janice and Vidil were one of the teams to do that, of course. It's not a max distance zone for them, and not actually a zone we'll see them play too often, but nevertheless, for this team, Kanox, Crown, they've actually very much been a surprise duo so far today in terms of how well they've been, how consistent they've managed to be. And sitting in third place, the nerves will certainly be high to try and retain that, right? It's always very easy as a player to get in your own heads about the way you're playing and being able to sustain that. For Flo and Helnada, one of the more experienced teams in the lobby, but a team that still has to piece things together as they finally have made their way into zone 375 above.
They're looking good on damage, looking good on loot, and with capped materials, I mean, they're looking good on everything. Even with that option to play the dead side, having everything they need, this could be a good match for them. But you gotta be careful when you're looking for tags. The Lucy almost getting knocked by over-peaking just slightly. Because now when Storm Surge does appear, these duos are constantly looking around them, always looking to see what they can find and what they can do, as Vidil and Janus have an interesting rotate here, but it's looking bad. 21 below, players above them. I would not want to be in this position.
Vidil doesn't often lose bloom battles, so not a good sign whatsoever. Of course, things like that do just happen, and they have the shields to get themselves back up, but certainly some shots that were needed as they are still 66 below. Janus may look to try and edge the distance, the gap, as they move towards the zone, but with ADN and Hardfine just sitting there, perched up on top of that hill, it just makes it so awkward for them to build their way on in. Cosmo and Tilt, also a team down below, and so, again, theme for today, desperation is gonna kick in. When the desperation kicks in, we see desperate plays being made, and that's exactly what Joe and Zero Without Chapix will try and capitalize on.
360 above Storm Surge. Slipstream close by. Cosmo and Till also not too in need of damage here from what I've seen, but actually they are incredibly in need of damage. 298 below, almost the opposite of what Zero Without Chapix and Joe have. And now being on the edge of Storm, they're gonna hear Storm Surge being activated, the damage being laid down onto Till and Cosmo. And it's gonna cause Zero Without Chapix and Joe to not want to open up, not let them get that damage, as they know the time keeps ticking, their HP keeps lowering, and if they wait long enough, they might just be able to clean it up very easily.
Vidil and Janus now were forced into the path of ADN and Hardfine, and it's not a pathway that is serving them too well.
Oh,
actually, maybe I spoke too soon. Hardfine's actually gone down and ADN's followed as well. The Germans are on top.
2 eliminations on the board too. I mean, from what looked like a position which was almost everything on the contrary, not in favor for Vidil and Janus, to come out on top with 2 eliminations, being in the zone with Storm Surge. It's looking great for them, but it's not looking great for the Siptos and DKS here. 62 below. That last Storm Surge pick takes out his duo partner. DKS now forced to heal up, use that shield. As in the meantime, close by, it's default, it's Stormy right, and they just secured their 3rd elim.
This is one of the worst spots to be in. Right, when you're fighting against teams for Surge, max distance, you have a couple hills and ridges that you can use to block lines of sight, but ultimately you will have a lot of teams holding you as you make your way on in. For default and Stormy right, they might decide to try and use the grapple gloves just to save them the extra materials. It seems like that's what they'll do. For H and Mr. Savage though, they're gonna look to run their way on in. And on the way, hit some more damage as well. 17 above is not a comfortable spot to be in, especially since we still have plenty more zones of Surge ticking away.
Logjam Lotus, one of the dynamic POIs in this season, but look at that. You can see the aggression coming out from the players due to this Storm Surge, to the damage they have to do. Mr. Savage almost had a ball fall right into his pocket there, but luckily enough, he reacted quick, blocked off the path, denied entry, and they can choose now to play it safer and continue rotating. But Cosmo and Till, almost 500 damage below Storm Surge. I mean, Levin, like, what can you do in this situation?
You have to just take a fight. You have to get in, hit big damage, and that's exactly what they're gonna look to do now as well. The opportunity was there to take a free shot onto H, but Till missed it. And you can't afford to miss any shots in these sort of scenarios when you are so desperate for damage. Especially now since they're taking damage from other people. It is just not the sight they want to be seeing. They need to just take a 50-50. That's ultimately going to be their goal. And it seems like Mr. Savage and H will be the team they look to 50-50. And H and Mr. Savage are no stranger to that. They've taken them almost every game so far today. And maybe this is going to be one of the ones they win as they take down Till. And Cosmo just has to watch from afar. He can't back his boy. And H and Mr. Savage will take big advantage of that, wiping that duo out and dealing with them rather swiftly.
I mean, that's huge for this duo. The comeback they have to do. Those 2 elims are really going to permit them to be able to do it, as now Astro and Michael have reached the 3-digit point range, 103 in that first place spot. They're feeling good. But this end game, it can shake things up. It can change the whole leaderboard. As Vidil and Janice, from being down below on Surge, almost out of loot, almost out of HP, to now having an amazing loadout, good materials, more options than ever. They'll continue on their path. But a player that's going to continue on a hard path here as he takes some shots. And Mr. Savage, top Nada connecting them. But playing as a solo, you're going to need more than just damage.
Combek's really been a player that's impressed me so far this season, but the caveat is that he's impressed me when he's been with Blatcher, the two of them together. And so as a solo, it's going to be a very big test of his character and how he can perform in these intense situations. For Nefreezy and Lusher, they need to make their way into zone. It's not going to be the most difficult pathway in. They just need to sort of move up on these steps, and that's exactly what they'll do. Use the stairs to get on up, and a bit of metal won't do any harm. The big problem is they're running low on all materials, not just metal. And so eventually a refresh will have to be theirs. But definitely a team that can continue to keep their slot in the top 6. With all things considered, Pab, Swag, a team that will look to try and push their way in to the top 6.
And they should be able to do just that if they can play their cards right. Being above Surge, having the loot needed. I mean, I just saw a little low amount of shields there, but one refresh is enough for that. As Hydro Belusi, second place on the leaderboard, but getting themselves not in danger, but they're on the borderline of being in danger. On the good news, though, or for the good news, is they have a lot of duos close by and a lot of players that still have to make their rotate that they can use for that damage. But you don't want to over-peak here. We saw them doing it earlier on in this match, and it almost cost Belusi. I mean, he almost got knocked down there, but luckily enough, they're playing it correctly now in the zone. It's going to pull north.
Yeah, they have a pathway by the left side, but they're going to have to wait for a right time, and otherwise there's going to be too many people watching. Zach and Haram, though, they need to start watching for people who maybe are leaving themselves too open. Polly will be an example of that, but wasn't able to open up in time. His teammate will. And so the shots come in, but they still need a bit more damage. As they sit here and look to out-heal, Storm Surge. Fate is still needing to go down. But the opportunities are there. People are gliding through the sky, but they're very much getting tunnel vision. There were a couple other people open that they could have taken shots at, but they just had their eyes set on that one player in the brick. Still though, connecting with a couple shots here and there, and that puts them 139 above.
You heard that noise. The zone starting to close now. 52 seconds until it closes. It's closing in a place where once the zone appeared, there was not a single duo inside of it. So now the rotations have to come in from afar. You can see sprinting, making her coming into good use here. As the rotates begin, the players put themselves into a good situation or into danger. But so far for Hydro and Belusi, it's looking like a clean rotate.
Hydro and Belusi have found what is a very, very nice gap, a very nice opening into the zone. Not having to commit many materials, and to be fair, it's not like they have much to work with anyway. Needing to stay true though, and because there's players pushing their way on into the box, Belusi does well to stay alive for as long as he does, as H gets knocked as well. But now Hydro having to take a 1v1 against Mr. Savage. Can he win things out? It doesn't seem that way. Mr. Savage comes from below, 200 IQ to take him out.
H now, it might be possible to pick him up, but the zone, it's ticking incredibly quickly here. You can see Mr. Savage had him on his back, carrying him to the zone, but he might have gone down. There it is. Mr. Savage is up now as a solo. He's lost his duo partner. He has to make something happen here. 23rd spot on the leaderboard. It's either he gets 6th place or gets the Victory Royale. This is the second to last match. Let's see what he can do.
Mr. Savage in a solo situation. Not a situation that he's too unfamiliar to. There's been many instances where he's had to play that way this season. But this time round, it's going to be a very, very tough task and such an intense lobby with so many hungry teams searching for their chance, their ticket to the final. Astro, Michael, they realize that opportunity as they tart towards the front side. Frey and Flixie, who sit above, not once, but twice today. Maybe even the third time, if I remember correctly. But will this be the time they hold on? Frey can't afford to keep on using wood. Eventually will swap to the metal as well. needs to make high ground look as secure as possible, as there will be teams that are ready and waiting in the front to take it.
The third time's the charm. We'll see if that's true for Flixie and Frey. We saw Vidil and Janet still going strong. Frizzy, though, has lost his partner, has 6 charges, though, on the grapple glove. With these changes in elevation, it's an incredibly difficult rotate, but Mr. Savage now might have just found an opening to reuse his opponent's builds here. He has 43 to work with, but he wants to conserve as much as possible now, using that med mist to recuperate a bit of that HP. As zone pulls more south, it gets more and more risky.
The pullback is key for Savage. It gives him some extra breathing room, some extra time to work with. And time is not a thing that Janice and Vidil care too much about, as they look to take people out. Mr. Savage eventually falls, but Janice and Vidil trying to avenge him, it seems, as he looks to take a fight onto the players that took him down. That's Ollie. Michael and Astro, though, continuing their pathway into the zone. The Freezy making use of all the charges of his grapple glove, as he just needs to stay alive, stay in the game. 5th place is going to be where they fall into this game. Hell Nada, the one to take him out, as Joe and Zerobout Chapix continuing to try and mount a comeback.
Frey and Flixie on the high ground. 3rd time's the charm. I said it. Let's see if they can make it happen. They do have 2 eliminations, but that's not going to matter if they secure the victory royale. They want that qualification. 94 points on the board. Flow Nada, though, falls down, gets knocked, and now Hell Nada has to play alone. His duo partner has lost his balance, has fell down, but now he's going to actually go for the pickup. He's going to try and revive his duo partner.
He actually might get the revive off as well. That could be everything. That might be the game-defining play. Vidil making game-defining plays, though. Here picks up a big shot onto Brachawa, and he actually has enough time to stay alive. So many shields, so much health now as well available. If you can just find some space, some room, some breathing room, it's going to be a chance to stay in the game, and that's what they will do. Vidil coming up huge again.
Hell Nada, Flow Nada, they've done it. He's picked up his duo partner. They are back in the game as Frey has fell down from the high ground, leaving his duo partner Flixie as a solo up top, and Michael now has taken that. Both players are up. Frey gets cracked, actually drops him down, but he uses the mantle to break the fall damage and not get eliminated. Astro and Michael now take down Frey and Flixie. This could have been one of the best high ground retakes I've seen today, but Michael goes down, leaving Astro up above as a solo.
Astro all alone, up above. Rising and Pain, you're sit below, and we know they like to play for height. They realize that they have the chance to take it, and so it's all up to Astro as a solo to make the most of what he has. But Joe and Zerobout Chapix, so they've been making the most out of these opportunities they've had. They've done so well last game, and it's looking that way again, but there's still so many players left, all with a stake to claim.
So many players, but the only solo being Pob. All these duos are showing their synergy, their teamwork. They want to secure these last moments of the match as Astro, actually another solo. There's 2 on the board now, 2 eliminations for Astro, but he wants that victory royale. He wants the golden ticket as Zero without Chapix is playing as a solo. Joe has gone down, but he has double med mist. No materials to work with as Hell gets pressure applied onto him, goes down. Vidil and Janice now 7 eliminations.
I felt like I was watching no build there for a second. Everybody running thin, but Vidil and Janice the only ones that really had something to say. Astro though having his say with just 1 build left. He does not fear, but maybe he needs to, because Janice and Vidil are already in rating below. This is their moment. They've been hungry all day. They've been searching for this, and Astro might just fall into their hands, fall into their traps. Vidil the German up there and realizes the space is there to be taken and closes it down. Vidil and Janice are on their way to the finals after what's been a brilliant set of games.
They were feeling amazing. You could see it from how they were playing. Vidil was waiting for his opponent to jump, and as Astro was falling through the sky, falling straight down, Vidil connected the shot, hit the double edit, and cleaned it up for the victory royale. But not only a victory royale and a golden ticket to the finals, they did that with an incredible amount of elimination.
The Greasy Grove Grafters come through eventually and win things out. It was only a matter of time until they won out a game, and it was here in game 4 they did it. Vidil and Janice have really earned their place to car.
Double-digit elims. They are going to be going confidently into the finals. Levin, I am very impressed from starting off so strong to getting a little rough there in the middle of the tournament to taking it home. I mean, they played it so well.
What is an FNCS run without some hiccups along the way? Just some added drama for the action. Look, we've had a pleasure breaking this down, but we're going to kick it to the analysts to break it all down.
At the beginning of a show, we talked about Vidil and Janice. And Reese asked him a question.
I basically said, which game you winning today? I'm going to read his answer, word for word. I'm going to try hard at game 4. Easy win then. It's scripted. It's fully scripted.
Are you sure you didn't have any? This is sounding like insider information.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is.
This might be pre-recorded.
See, what you don't know is that Reese actually writes the script for the FNCS himself.
He might as well at this point.
Yeah, he's the orchestrator, and then of course Shia
And 10
Wager
elims.
is beatboxing in the back.
Yeah, I didn't write that. I didn't write 10 elims.
But he said easy. That's the whole point.
I mean, that looked easy. Was that not easy? The first fight, there was an entire change in the dynamics. Remember, we saw them struggling edge map in the water. They were looking really rough, and all of a sudden they turned that fight round. And that's just a turning point in the match. They've looped up. They've got so much ammo. They've got so many materials. They've got so many heals at that point. And that just sets them up so well to just frag out in the endgame.
They just had such a nice rhythm bouncing back off of each other. We see Giannis going for heals. Well, it's Vidil picking up the slack. We see Vidil going for the heals. All of a sudden, it's Giannis able to cover him. No problem whatsoever. It's just kind of awesome to see a duo really just find their full sync. And I mean, granted, they talked about the game 4 all day long, Reese, but at the same time, this is still just an impeccable finish from these two.
I mean, two of the biggest names in this entire lobby that we've seen. I think no one is surprised to see them qualify through in the first day in semifinals.
So good with one game left. We still have to highlight other duos, right? Who else are we seeing show up in these games that we're like, hey, these guys can run it?
And Michael and Astro, right? Throughout all the qualifiers, we've seen them fighting in the Daily Bugle a lot, right? They've been going up against, I think it's Toos in early game. They've managed to actually get out of there this time, which has been fantastic. Similar to the rest of the games, they're doing so good off spawn. And again, it just sets them up so well to do good in endgame.
It feels like this duo has really just been playing spoiler to a lot of the other teams that keep trying to challenge them, especially in these mid-ground to high-ground retakes. It doesn't seem as though Michael has ever really had any issues, especially with challenging on that high ground from down below. So I think if anything, some of these duos might need to keep a closer eye on him and where he's actually looking to position from.
I love that mantle play from Michael as well. You see this chaos that's going on with Michael right now. He obviously picks up Frey. That was all while this high ground retake was going on. Whilst that's happening, Astros is up on height. He's like, I've already made it. I've already made it up here. Can you join me?
Callouts.
But the callout, I mean, I bet the comms were incredible at that point. But again, this is still a huge game for them. They were in first place before this match even started. Now, with a really good finish in that, here we go, 137.
That is an insane lead. They're looking really good going into this last game. Now, do remember, at the end of today, this is the last game. We only have 5 today. The duos that end in top 6, they will automatically go to finals, and whoever gets this next victory royale will as well. For some of these duos, they're looking for, they're hunting.
Hold on.
It's so close, though.
It is.
It's so close.
Do you see what I see up in that top left?
That Joe, Evan, and Chapix without, or Zero without, excuse me. We already know that Jason and Chapix are actually through. But Zero and Joe, their last 2 matches, the elims are what are really causing this duo to really surge up in standings.
12 elim game and 8 elim game following that. Now they are up in second place. We said before this game even started that they just need one big game. It wasn't a 12 elim second, but 8 elims and into the top 5. That is incredible.
And to think, one of the highlight stats that we looked at from the previous qualifiers, one duo had 20 eliminations, right? Vino, and we're already sitting at that number.
Yeah.
These guys, they're ready to bring it.
That's very, very impressive, but I love to look how close that is as well. You see 3 teams on 97, all tied for second place. At this moment, look, I'm just saying, Michael and Astro, they in. They in right now. They've qualified. They can chill. They can be happy. But with all of the other teams, it is so close. Second all the way down till 7. 7-point difference there.
No one can feel comfortable from 2nd through 10th. Not even, I mean, when you think about the teams that are on the second page of the standings even, I feel like anyone at any moment, depending on how this last round goes, could just overtake. If anything, I'm looking at Canucks and Chronic. They've got to close this out.
And anyone can. Doesn't matter if they're second page. Doesn't matter if they're on the 5th page. Any win will put them through.
One victory royale left to go here in Game 5, semifinals day number 1. I cannot believe how incredible this first day of semifinals in EU has been. One game left to go. Who will bring it home? Let's find out. This is Game 5.
Game 5.
The final chance today for these teams to do it in this current iteration of the lobby. Of course, we'll have some fresh new names coming through tomorrow, but for the meantime, this is your moment. This is your opportunity to win it all out.
It's come to it, Levin. the last match of the day, the players that are down on the lower end of that leaderboard are going to be playing more aggressive for the Victory Royale, going to be playing more aggressive for that instant qualification. And the players that might be closer to the cutoff, the threshold to qualify through consistency, remember that's 6th place and above, they're going to be playing for those points.
Well, look, like we said, it doesn't matter where you are on the standings, your hopes are still alive as long as you can get that Victory Royale. But it's always easier said than done. You've got to win off spawn, you've got to make it through the mid game, you've got to deal your surge damage, you've got to win out the end game. It's such a difficult task at hand, but nevertheless, somebody will step up as we head into game 5.
Look, we can say a lot, Levin, but to actually do it, that's another thing. But what I want to do is get into the match. Battle Bus is ready. The players are dropping in. The last match of the day, the nerves are at an all-time high. But for some players, that confidence is also at an all-time high.
This is your chance. You have to take it. You can't afford to slip up. And for many of these teams, they've had so many opportunities to really get a feel for the lobby, get a feel for the flow of the games. It's certainly been a change for us. I'm sure it's been a change for you watching. But a good change at that, so action-packed, so jam-packed with teams fighting here, there, and everywhere. And Kanox and Crown, who have had to fight against Dandir at Sky over towards the gas station at times, not initially having to deal with that fight. So a good start, a good opportunity for them. For Kiduo and Yusri up against Zerobout, Chapix, and Joe, can they be the ones to spoil the party?
2nd place currently on the leaderboard, Joe and Zero without Chapix. They're in the position to make it happen, and it looks like they might be doing just that. They already get the first elimination. Kiduo now the only one up of the opposing duo here, but Joe has also gone down. Kiduo actually takes him out, and now the HP advantage is for Kiduo here, unless Zero without Chapix can pop that big pot. He does, and now the 1 versus 1 comes out. This is the last match. It is incredibly important for both duos here, as Zero without Chapix gets 1 shot. He needs 1 more connection, though, to secure that last elimination, as Kiduo now is put in a situation where he gets knocked out and he gets eliminated.
Zerobout Chapix coming in clutch. That was the moment to do it as well. Such a huge game. And a huge opportunity for these teams. You can see Coop and Nipsey landing at Greasy Grove, knowing that Janice and Vidil would not be here. But they did also run into another team that was very much looking to do the same thing as them. And they win that fight out. Let's take a look back at how things went down, though, in this fight. Coop here, dancing on the outside of that building, hitting a big shot and coming through, connecting as well. I assume, yes, he did. Dandit falling, and Nipsey revive. Coop and Nipsey do actually land that Greasy Grove a lot, right? So they're familiar with this spot.
Take a look at another replay here of what went on at the Synapse station. It was Zero without Chapix. He got knocked out in the 2nd place spot, Levin. The question is he gonna hold on to his position? Is he gonna finish with his duo partner, Joe, in the top 6?
That's gonna be very difficult. Of course, we saw how tightly packed it was from 2nd to 6th. Well, there was only about 7 points separating it. So if they were to hold on, I'd be very surprised, or at least they'll be with their fingers crossed waiting. I think Astro and Michael are the only ones that really have safety in 1st place. But for Zerobout, Chapix, and Joe, it might just be Heat 2. That is their opportunity. Of course, that is tomorrow. So not a long wait necessarily, but they're just going to have to wait and see whether fortune will go their way. For Pixie and Fork, they've been very fortunate off spawn at times here against Ewan and Buzz. No, I want that again. Astro and Michael have made the Bugle look easy, but that's what I expect from a team that's literally landed here all chapter.
I mean, it's all about learning your drop spot, learning your POI better than your opponents, so you can have the advantage as much as possible. But Astro has been cracked, although he does get that connection onto his opponent, cracking him as well. Fury now forced to heal up, forced to pop those minis, pop those shields. Michael, though, who has not been hit yet, looking to see if he can apply a bit of pressure here, break the builds, as he now goes for a flank, looking to see if he can find an angle that they might not be expecting, or this could even just be a disengagement. This is the last match. They don't want to risk it all when they're in 1st place here. All they need are a few more points. As a reminder, the players that do get eliminated here, if one of your favorite duos goes down, like Haram might here, but with that shot, I doubt he will. They still have that opportunity to compete again in day 2 of semifinals, so this is not the end for these duos. But this could be the end for the ones that qualify to the finals, as Haram and his duo partner here looking to do just that.
Zaka and Haram, they've been a consistent team to be reckoned with. A consistent force, no pun intended, as they take on Shizo and Force. That will all mean nothing if they can't win this fight here against this team. A team who very much will have to be hitting the VODs after today. They've not quite performed how they would have wanted to. But Zaka and Haram, they won't be paying attention to that. They'll just be paying attention to their own game, winning this fight. But it's not started well. Shizo hits a really big shot there, and another one connects as well. A bit of a trade in terms of damage, but this is a chance now for Force to start adding some pressure.
He continues to add that pressure, that momentum, but you have to be careful because now when duos hear those shots, hear the bullets colliding, the pickaxes breaking, they know that something's happening close by and they want a piece of the pie. As now, Haram looking to see what he can make happen here, make do as Force. Forcing his way into his opponent's box, into his opponent's line of sight as they both take a shot, both connect. But neither shot is enough to grant either player an opportunity to play more aggressive, but Zaka here, with only 8 more builds to work with, left with wood, is gonna have to make something happen soon, because if time goes on and materials keep being used, they could get into a position where they don't have any to work with, and that is a big disadvantage.
Shizo and Force running thin in the way of shields and materials. They'll desperately need to start hitting some big shots, which we know they can do. But the very same can be said for Zaka. And he's playing around with that, using this stair, trying to create the right angle, the harpoon to force his way through. And needs to be careful because now he is a solo. Haram was taken out, and he has to now flip that stair to create some space. But this is not good whatsoever. The harpoon being used to try and potentially bring in a shield fish, but no, it only brought another flopper. That's not what he needs, though. He needs some shields.
These are now Force. They find him. They connect the first one, but a massive shot gets put onto Force here, but ultimately, he is the one that's going to come out on top. Zika now getting eliminated, getting taken out. As we switch back over to the Daily Bugle, we've got Michael, who has lost Astro. The first place duo could go down here in the early game if Frey and Flixie decide to play a bit more aggressive, and this could be huge for them as they're in 3rd place currently. They're just 2 spots away from Michael here, and I think they know that, and they want to find him.
Frey and Flixie, I feel like I've seen them all over the map today. But this now is a big, crucial moment. Frey has finally spotted Michael, and if they take him out, then it's a big chance for anybody now to sort of push for a 1st place push. Of course, Michael and Astro have been so consistent throughout the day, fighting at the Bugle. They've not really had many issues, but they haven't had to face Flixie and Frey here. It's a new kind of challenge, and a challenge they're not handling so well. Michael creating some space, farming back up. But he needs to start thinking about how he can get Astro back into the mix.
As now, more players have sniffed this engagement. They smelt it from afar. Splashy Zohan, they know what's going on here. They have the advantageous position, but they decide that maybe it's not worth it to stay inside of zone here just for a little bit of extra tags as they continue to rotate into zone. It's not too far at all, though. So for those duos that are still in the Daily Bugle battling it out, they don't have to go a long distance to put themselves into a better position.
The Freezy and Lusher, I've got my fingers crossed for this team. The hope is that they can finally start to piece things together in the final game. This is a chance for them to push their way into contention. Of course, we know they land at the Rave Cave, and we know that they're a team that likes to play towards height, but it hasn't been something they've been able to easily do throughout the day. And the zone pool isn't too bad either. They do have relatively easy access to the zone if they go towards the north. But in this final game, we have to update ourselves on some of the things going on, so who better to bring in a mini miner?
Thank you, Levin. Now we're looking at Wox and Robab right now, and they're not sitting in too good of a position. They need a victory on this final game to come out in the finals. And as you can see right here, they're fighting with so scuffed loot. We see Robab with only one shotgun shell left. He manages to pick up the elimination right there at the end with the final shot. Really great stuff from these guys. Can they carry it on to a win, though? We'll have to wait and see.
Nerves of steel. I wouldn't even have been able to take the shot. I would have been too scared.
Would have been shaking there. Just, oh, you missed that shot and then it's over. But this is the best of the best in the region, Levin. These players have built those nerves up, have built their confidence, and they know what they need to do to come out on top as DKS and the Siptos. 18th place, looking to fly up as Blacha does get taken out here. That's 2 eliminations on the board for DKS and the Siptos, but be careful. You saw it put aside, go close there. The third party could be coming in, and it looks like even at the Daily Bugle, Astro has been rebooted. The good news for this duo is they really do not need too many points here to be in that top 6.
Ultimately, they're probably fine. Reese called it. They probably have qualified already, but of course, the longer they stay up, the longer they stay alive, the more that does become solidified. And of course, getting top 6 would be fine. It would move them to the finals, sure, but going into the finals on a first place finish would be nice for the vibes, the momentum, the morale. Obviously, there is quite a break between now and the finals. But nevertheless, knowing you did so well today would just be an extra boost to confidence, because they have been very impressive.
Zeston now alongside Waze. Only 11 points on the board, so they want this game to be a big one. They want that victory royale, and they want to get themselves set up for the late game in a position that they don't have to worry about anything as they look for the eliminations here early. The damage they need to not have to worry about it as they're rotating. They already have an incredible amount of chug splashes, loot, shields. But what they need is that damage. And being in a position like top 37, you have to think to yourself, what's my game plan? Do I want to just set myself up enough that I can go for that victory royale in the late game? Because that's ultimately what they really want here. They want that win, they want that victory, and they want to qualify to the finals.
Friend Flixie. Not an unfamiliar position for them, perched up on the hill. Looking to do a tiny bit of damage as the Storm Surge stories continue.
Right, alongside Flixie here though. 30 below, it's where it gets dangerous. Levin, when you're on that borderline, we've talked about it before. You're just a few tags off, but those tags can be incredibly difficult to get here. As they continue to find the angle, but Flixie can just not connect his shots. Gets cracked. And now Frey hopefully was able to get some damage, but it's not looking like it as they're forced to pop the shield keg and continue to trade tags here.
Yeah, the good thing though is that it's not necessarily a bad situation to be in. The shield keg is one of the best things you can use when you're looking to trade for Surge. But this is interesting, right? They're moving their way on up. They have their eyes set on Paco, it seems here. Paco needs to be careful. Krusty as well is in the vicinity. Okay, moving their way into zone, understandably, but looking to take the fight as well. The pace is picking up. The zone is forcing them both towards each other even closer and closer. And Flixie now trying to take walls, trying to take names. Paco continuously just backing away, creating space, creating separation. But it's actually good. They're actually catching Frey and Flixie out. They know they're desperate. And so they're controlling the tempo, controlling the rhythm of the fight and hitting shots just like that. Flixie falls. Frey is going to be following as well. And so a team that was so high up in the standings has caught themselves out in the final game to Surge.
That's already, from what I can count, 2 duos down that were in the top 6 going into this match. And we're only in the 3rd zone here. As now, the wrath continues. Till Cosmo, 242 above. This was a duo that was incredibly low on Storm Surge in the last match. But now, they want to change that around. They want to be ready this time and not put themselves in that same scenario where they have to risk it all in a battle. As now, they continue. They've got the damage. They want to keep rotating. But meanwhile, the duos that are below, they're getting stressed out here.
For Waze and Zeston, who sit below, so perched high up in the sky. It's one of the situations where they have vision of a lot, but there aren't necessarily many opportunities. There aren't many shots that they can hit with. And so they are just going to sit here and tick away. I don't think out healing's going to be the play long term, and so they need to start dealing damage and fast, but also needing to move into the zone as it's starting to come in. Astro, though, will give them a breath of life, and that moves them just above the threshold, meaning they don't have to sit here and heal constantly. But look how much they've already had to use to cut up. So many mats burned, not much by the way of shields left, and more having to be spent. It is not looking like a good game for Waze and Zestin.
Forced to use the chug splashes here, dropping down even to get closer to their opponents here, do that extra bit of damage. 2 tags onto Michael, puts them only 50 below now. 2 more shots would be enough to put them above, but the fight, the battle has begun inside of the storm. Great positioning for Waze though, jumps straight in front of Astro, gets the knock, and now puts them on that position to show their dominance with the upper edge they have in this engagement against Michael, who's left alone as a solo. But Zestin does not want to put himself into a position that's too risky here. Michael now has made it into zone, has put himself inside of a bush and a position where he can heal up at. But the issue is, if a duo sees him, especially as a solo, it's going to get dangerous for him.
Till, Cosmo, another game where they're down on Surge. They just haven't quite managed to figure things out throughout the day. It's been such a struggle. Every single game we tune into them, they are just down below. We've seen them go for 50-50 plays, just like the one that it seems they're looking to take again, and it hasn't gone in their favor. Will this be the game where they turn things around though? Clement and Floki won't be an easy opponent, but they've not had the best of days themselves. And with Surge just constantly ticking away now, they're gonna get desperate, breaking their way on in. That's the cone. Not gonna be able to take the floor though. And Floki and Clement have actually just been forced back into the zone as well. They are also a team struggling, not on Surge, but just for position.
And positioning is one of the most important factors, especially in these zones. And the issue is, being in the 4th zone now, that's going to be closing in just 40 seconds on the borderline, on the edge, with so many duos in front of you. I mean, you could see the bright side on, they'll have a lot of builds and materials to recycle from their opponents, but on the contrary, having to rotate so far, it's just not something you want to be forced to do. As now Raisin and Pena, 40 below, are looking to possibly tank the Storm Surge here.
Vortex and High Chris, they've not had many chances to play full games out. You've seen them go down or spawn a couple times. In a fight against Raisin and Pena might not be the one they want to take. That's been a team that has been electric at times today. But they're desperate, and so they'll do whatever it takes. Setting up to be able to build up as well with the zone pools that way. But just barely above, needing to make sure they don't overextend.
Just one player has to be eliminated, Levin, and Storm Surge is no longer active. This could be why they're trying to tank the Storm Surge instead of going for the damage, but this player is just not going down. That one elimination required cannot cost all of these duos. As High Chris now drops below, gets his initial shot. Pena's cracked. One more needed to connect, and he does it. High Chris now securing 2 eliminations, 88 above. Great play from him.
And Raisin and Pena, who were in 9th place, who we've seen in countless endgames today, their run's done. They won't have a chance. They will have to wait until tomorrow to try and qualify. Their run put to an end by High Chris and Vortex. Till and Cosmo, they still are in a reach of a chance, but it's a long reach with how low they are. Cosmo might have to pass over the medkit. Yeah, he's already passed one over, but the med miss probably going to be the choice there for them. Krusty and Packer are waiting as they enter though, and Krusty will be the one to take Cosmo out. Actually, Floki was the one to take him out. And Floki and Clement still kicking, still pushing. They're feeling things as they take Cosmo until down. But still, the fight breaking out beyond their control. And they're just trying to hold on now at this point. And that's going to be the best solution. They're so condensely packed with these teams in this area.
Loki did get that initial damage and elimination, but once he had enough and he was ready to disengage, that's when his opponents wanted a piece of that action. And that's what they got. But Floki said, I'm not done yet. I want a bit more. I'm 538 above, but this loot is mine. As he secures the med miss, secures the big pot, and now with spare shields to work with, they have to decide what they use, what they bring. As the 5th zone, half in, half out, has pulled just a little north of them on the east side of this zone. But look at all the rotates come in, the grapple gloves. Mr. Savage still up down below. All these players doing what they can to make it into zone, but the ones that are far away, like we're seeing on the screen now, are suffering from their positioning and giving that opportunity to the players that are already based up to do that damage.
For Chawa, another game where they've just been struggling. Another game where they will just be snuffed out. They go down. Nefreezy actually taken down in the feed. That's not good news for them or me. Flonada, Hellnada, they're still up as a duo. And just on the outside of the qualification threshold, but being pressured, so many eyes, they're getting lobby focused, the armored wall comes through, but is that really going to be enough? The grapple gloves is a saving grace. It gets them out of the angle of so many players, but that was almost disaster for this team.
They need to stay up right now. Being on the threshold, being on the cutoff, you cannot get eliminated here. You have to stay up, you have to get to the late game and secure as many points as possible, as now Flonada and Hellnada have secured that 6th place spot. They want to finish in that or even above. 6th zone coming to a close in 10 seconds here. The storm will start closing. First moving will begin and the nerves will keep increasing.
This is such a big opportunity for that duo. They've moved up gradually throughout the day. And there are so many teams in the top 6 who are down. And that leaves them real room, real opportunity, and an opportunity they can take. For Mixon and Arthur, this is also an opportunity for them in 10th. It's not too far out the realms of possibility. If they can hold on to height and get some eliminations, anything is really possible. Still so many teams that have a fighting chance.
They have both the option of getting that victory royale and qualifying to consistency, but Flo and Hell here want to make something happen. They are 40 below, no shields to work with. They need that impact frag. They need that refresh as they continue to rotate. They have the mobility with the grapple gloves, but they need those shields, those heals as Lusha and Nefrizzy do go down in 3rd place. Vortex now at high Chris playing it alone. Vortex continues his rotate in 11th. He still has a lot to go to get that consistency in, but now as he pops the mini shields, we switch back over to Flo, to Hell. 1 elimination on the board, triple-digit points, 4th place spot, and they keep going.
They are pushing and they are fighting. They're asking, they're begging for anything, just anything to keep them in the game. It's so essential that they stay up in these crucial moments coming into the final game. For Mixon and Arthur, this is also a big chance for them. They've moved all the way up to 8th now, and so they really stand a chance if they can hold on to height here, but it's being taken from them.
Mixon has to be careful. 2nd height here. A lot of opportunities, though. Options to break it down as Fire Hunter and Visu are holding it up strongly, reconnecting down below. They do not want to get knocked down here, but only 10 builds to work with.
You can see Fire Hunter, they've done such a good job to claim height. And so this could be their chance. Of course, not in the realm of top 6, but if they can get the win, that is everything. For Hellnada, though, they fall in 2nd place. 113 points. That probably will be enough to hold on. We will see. But for H, can he pull off a massive cut? Paco and Crafty, they're trying to do something of the sort as well. And they'll take down Noah Riley and Reason. That's going to be them both wiped out of the game. Paco has everything on his shoulders right now, but he's currently in 5th. And can he hold on?
Bumping himself up the leaderboard, flying through, as now the high ground is still for Fire Hunter. It's still for Visu, but all these players, they're battling for that victory royale or their top 6, which is where DKS and Deceptos are right now. They are a duo playing together. They have that, but what they don't have are materials, and that's exactly what they need in this situation.
They don't have HP either. DKS is just scurrying about on the low ground. He's like a rat on the highway, just trying to find some safety, but there's not much safety here around him. Aware is going to be in front of him, and he'll actually take some blows at him as well, but that's going to cost him his life. Fire Hunter will be the one to do things from above. Paco, though, stuck now, trying to get into the zone. It's such an awkward spot to be in, but barely just makes his way in with no mats.
Has Paco done it? Bumped himself up the 3rd place spot, but all the remaining duos are not close to that 6th place spot, so they're all playing for the same thing, the victory royale. Ewan goes down. Now Jitwo trying to find an angle. He has grouped up with his duo. These players want that victory royale.
JJ2 and Aware above. They are trying everything they can now to stay up. Fire Hunter needs to stay up on actual high ground here in a 2v2 situation. Who will be the one to solidify their spot in the final?
Hunter looking above, has to just connect one big shot. That's all he needs as he gets the shot connected onto him. Aware now, knocked down to 19 HP, knocked down totally, and now the 1 versus 2, Fire Hunter and Bisu take out GG2 or JJ2, apologies, and secure that victory royale. What a great match.
What a way to do it for that team. Not one that was able to qualify by a top 6 consistency, but in the final moment, stepping up to win the game and solidify their spot in the final.
I mean, that's what it's all about, Levin. Being able to get to those last moments, and if you're not in that qualifying threshold range, to be able to secure the golden ticket. And that's what I love so much about semifinals. But on the good news for these players that weren't able to make it, they still have 2 more semifinals. But wow, what a last match.
No, let's not focus on the teams for tomorrow. That's for tomorrow. For this team, so many eliminations. Fire Hunter really going ham in these final moments, and then a big shot from his teammate to close things out. JJ2 did not stand a chance. These guys really pulling out all the stops, all the strings in this final game. What a win, well deserved.
We've seen so much today. Multiple 2 versus 2s, 1v1s to secure the qual, heal-offs. I mean, we've seen it all, but that was the last match. I mean, it's been a pleasure, Levin, commentating. We will be back, but I mean, what have we just seen? That was insane.
Yeah, it's been such a brilliant day, but who better to break it all down for you? Zeke, Taco, Reese, take it away.
Thank you so much. Of course, Tokata, 11-2K, your casters. My goodness, an incredible set of 5 games. And this is just day 1. We are back for 2 more days after this. I don't think my little heart can take it.
I have a big heart, and I can't take it either. So I don't think any of us will get through without it. But, of course, we've got a highlight on our final games winner from today, Fire Hunter, and the Vizu player as well. I'm betting at this moment he's kind of regretted not having his name there. But
hey, it happens. It happens to the best of us, but Fire Hunter honestly looking like the best of them out there in this final match. If you're ever going to pick a time to go all or nothing, much like how they treated every single round leading up to this, game number 5 is definitely the one to show up on.
Absolutely, and I love the playstyle from them. It was so classic. Retake the high ground in that first to second movement right at the end of that, and just maintain it all the way through. I love the kind of from Fire Hunter to drop down, go for the frag out, let down low, because they know they just had like absolutely no materials. Everyone's getting stuffed. There was water down below. They had to just jump down and made sure it worked.
And that's the thing, is that you can never really let an opportunity like that go, because when you're running out in those final moments, I think that, if anything, Fire Hunter just had a lot of confidence from some of those early elims he built up.
Definitely. And I think if you look through some of the placements of these two, or this 2 duo, you can see, like, in Qualifier 3, they made it to the set lobby, and they placed kind of 18th overall. You see that there was some potential there within the duo, and it's great to see them go through and obviously in the final match today.
That's right, man. It's all about qualifying, right? Showing up at finals, saying, listen, you need to have our name on your radar as well. And I guess I'm kind of surprised here that the top 5 in this game to begin kind of like all fell kind of pretty early. Just lets everyone else kind of catch up.
Yeah, of course. Like, we saw the first one, Joe. I was going to say Joe, but he's hidden his name as Zero without Chapix, of course. Oh, it is Joe. I've messed up at that point. Anyway, they started to get into the fight of the rap with Kiduo. They've been going back and forth all day, and it seems to have gone within Zero without Chapix and Joe's way. They were doing so well coming into this. Of course, we saw second on the overall leaderboard, and they picked that up, right? They managed to win off spawn again, but it was the reboot. The time that they went to reboot, it's so loud. All of the players that are in the surrounding areas can hear that. They're going to come through third party, so he dropped down so early in this game. And when we end up seeing the leaderboards later on, we'll have to keep an eye out to see if he's managed to stay in the top 6.
And that's the saddest part about it all, really, is when you're having such a strong comeback, because we saw such a steep resurgence, I think, from Joe and Zero, that they were really... I thought for a moment they were going to be able to close that one out, but again, leaderboard standings might say something else.
It's okay, right? Day 1 in the books, maybe didn't quite go the way we were hoping or some duos expected. 2 more days, though, to kind of shake things up. For now, though, why don't we go back our in-game team? They've got a recap of the day.
Look, thank you very much, Zeke. We all play Fortnite with one thing in mind, right? Getting Vic Roys, but these teams here today were the ones that were able to do it when it mattered the most. Ref Squad and Clown started off the day. What a game that was.
I mean, that was one of the most chaotic matches I've ever seen in Fortnite history. From their duos going down, leaving it all up to solos, to one of the most intense 1v1s to secure that victory royale. I mean, the action was incredible.
It really was. And continuing with that Danish dominance, we're seeing Sanjild and Loki coming out on top in game number 2. My ad, this is their first finals as a duo, so huge shout out to those guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, look, I am a biased analyst as always, season, so seeing my good friends Marine and Nebs qualify through is huge, right? Marine is a player with so much talent. He's achieved so much in Fortnite, but this season finally been able to commit more time as he's done with school and securing a spot in the finals. Big moment for him.
And look, speaking about bias, Levin, my prediction, Janice and Vidil did take home game 4 with double-digit eliminations, so you know that they are feeling excited going into those finals.
Yeah, so is Reese as well, because of course he did pick them. And he's very happy. He's dancing in the back. You can't see him. But of course, for the final game, game number 5, Visu and of course Firehunter coming out on top there. A very mature way of playing, played high ground really effectively. It spent the materials really well as well. And they nearly fell down towards the end, but they kept it.
Look, I think the big thing with all of these wins is that it's such a great blueprint now for the teams who are looking to come through tomorrow, right? We've been able to watch these games. I'm sure all these players will be in the replays tonight, literally just scrolling across. How did they win? How did they take height? Where did they go? What did they loot? It's going to be carnage tomorrow, but again, the foundations have been laid.
That's right, man. With 2 days, you really have to, like you're saying, you just go back. We just need one game, right? We don't need to come top 6. If we can just win a game, we're set. Which reminds me, we have to look at our standings. We have to see which duos did end in that top 6. Because remember, they're the ones going through finals. I can't even believe it. By only 2 points. And look at 9th through 7th.
Look, there's 2 big teams I want to point out here. Joe and Zero Without Chapix. We, of course, watched them go down early in the final match there. Now, just missing out of qualification. But, of course, someone else we want to point out. Frey and Flixie in 6th place now. Finally qualified through from the semifinals. Golf claps all around. I'm happy to see them.
Doesn't matter how you make it, as long as you get there by the end of it. And it's kind of awesome because in that last game, they had a little bit of a tough time, didn't have the close that they would have liked, but to see them still manage to squeeze through, that's always perfect.
Look, to everyone in the community, stop making fun of Frey. Stop now, you can't. He's made it. He's finally done it.
It's great to see. I mean, what was it? 51st time lucky, isn't it, Reese? Maybe more, actually, probably.
I mean, so it's technically 50 games before that, and then these 5. So you could say the 55th one was the moneymaker. But
there we go.
It's all it takes. 54 no's and 1 yes. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Let's take a look at predictions. In my head, I'm just thinking like, that's going to be my saying. If at first you don't succeed, try 55 times.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the predictions. Yep. I mean,
Reese is dancing.
He's always dancing.
It's always off camera.
It's okay. So tomorrow we will all come back. We will all win, and Reese will not.
No, you say that. Last semis, I got all 3 winners. So on to a hot start.
I see, that's where you just curse yourself, though. Casters.
I don't know. I've already the reigning champion.
Is that 11 guarantee? Is that 11 guarantee?
Look, I can't guarantee nothing with this, brother. Here. Look, I'm happy as well. Look, Nafreezy, Lusher, they didn't win a game. I expected them to be a team that won a game, but nevertheless, coming in, qualifying, it got close. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw them go down in that final game, all the teams that were going up and down in the standings, I was thinking, are they gonna hold on? They did. So really happy for that duo.
I mean, the cutoff to be in that qualifying range of top 6 was nothing. It was just a few points, but I'm happy that Janice and Medeo were able to secure that victory royale. You know, they made me proud.
Absolutely. I mean, I haven't had the best history when it comes to semi-final predictions. And for
or any other one.
Well, okay, I don't know about that one. But now my team has come on to, well, second. It was Flonada and Hellfire. Of course, they had a Hellnada. They had a really good day today when it came to overall consistency. They didn't have any like barnstorming games. We weren't seeing them like absolutely popping off with high elimination, height takes and stuff like that. But in that final game, they were getting pressured. If you remember, on the edge of zone, using the grapple glove to make their way in. Those clutch plays is what's qualified them.
What was important, while they did that grapple glove play, they were actually out of the top 6. They managed to keep themselves moving up.
Yeah.
Huge plays.
H and Mr. Savage, boss.
Listen. These two are just heat checking the entire lobby multiple times. So 3rd time's a charm. So if I triple down, that's the guarantee effect.
Well, tomorrow is a new day of Fortnite here in EU. Will our predictions come true? I didn't mean to rhyme. I'm so sorry. Hey, are you liking what you're seeing? NA East is up after this. They have 5 games there as well. If you like what you're seeing, tomorrow we're back. Same time, same great place, same great people. As always, we love you, and we'll see you on that battle. Beep, 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 beep.